Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started here in about 30 seconds.
All right.
Okay, good morning, everyone. We are going to do some general introductions here in just a few moments, but I'm going to first have an introduction. Tribology is going to bring greetings and welcome you on behalf of the Black School of Business. Following that, we'll do introductions and we'll get started with our program. So about half of the folks are going to be calling in on the phone. So we have a phone feed up here. We also are having a video feed through YouTube right now. So there will be video and audio. So you'll be able to fully participate if you're dialing in. And then we're also videotaping the entire broadcast. If for any reason you have to leave, especially those of you who are on the phone, if you have to leave at some point during the morning and you'd like to see the entire program that we're doing this morning, we will have copies available that we can send to you. So with that, I'll introduce Balaji.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you all for coming today. I'm Balaji Gopal, the director of the Salmon Island Black School of Business. I want to take a minute to thank you all for participating. One of the things that we value here in the Black School of Business is the partnerships that we have with our businesses, industry, government, nonprofits, in the region and beyond. So this is one way that we can engage all of you in our programs, in our initiatives. And throughout this program or this meeting, I hope you will see the exciting things that are going on in the school. And I don't want to take away any of the thunder that Greg is going to talk about with respect to the success of our students, our programs, the rankings, and the like. But I do want to tell you that there are some really exciting things going on that are having a profound impact on our students. And a good part of that is happening because of the relationships that we enjoy with our alums, with our businesses, with our industry leaders. So thank you very much for coming in today, and hope you find this session informative. And those of you that are on the phone, I hope that you can as engaged as those that are here as well. So thank you very much.
Okay, before we get started, what I'd like to do is I'm going to start by going around the room. Now, those of you who are watching the video feed, you will not necessarily be able to see everybody on the extremities at the table because of the way the room is set up in our capacity. But I'm going to have everybody nice and loud introduce who they are, what they represent. Again, about half of our board is alumni based, so perhaps when you were here or whatnot. And then those of you on the phone, as soon as we get everybody introduced here in the room, then I'm going to have each of you do the same thing. So I'm going to start with Adam Nelson, who's over here to my left. And Adam, why don't you introduce yourself?
Adam Nelson, I graduated in 2008 from finance here, and I own the Everett Jones Investments about a mile down the road of Buffalo Road. And do it for me.
You say anything you want.
I'm just happy to be here.
Okay. Ron
Walchak, Ameriprise Financial, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Penn State, 1980. Been in the business since 1982.
Don Nicholson, I'm with Northwest Savings Bank in the Wealth Management Department. I've been in the area about 15 years now.
Okay. Max, we'll go back to you in the back.
Max Morrow, I'm a freshman here.
Max is running our Bloomberg terminal, by the way, as a freshman. So he's our super freshman. So thank you, Max, for being here as well. All right.
Hi, Brian Bosco John. I teach finance here, and I've been here since 2000.
Jeff Coy, I'm an assistant professor of finance here. I'm in my first year here at Behrend.
Eric Robbins, I teach finance here at Behrend, and I've been here full-time for 2 years, part-time 4 years before that.
Rick Hederick, I teach in finance also. I run the financial planning certificate program, and I've been here 5 years.
Jen Powell, I got my MBA here in 2011, and I'm a financial analyst at FNC Technologies, which is the oil and gas industry.
Excellent. And now we'll go to the phone. Those of you on the phone, if you will take turns introducing yourselves.
My name is Tyler Majeski. I graduated in 2010. I've actually worked at PNC for 4 years now. I'm a branch manager here in Erie.
Okay. Jeff?
This is Jeff Starr with Rollins Wealth Management. I graduated in 2011. I think I've been with Rollins now for 4 years. So 5 actually, coming into 6.
Okay. Did anybody else dial in besides the two of you yet? I know some people are going to be coming and going during the morning.
Yeah, it's Bruce Gray.
Hey, Bruce.
I graduated. Hey, how you doing, Ray?
Good.
Hey, that's Bruce Gray. I graduated in 1980 as an accounting major, and I am with Bank of America in the commercial real estate area.
Okay, terrific. And again, thank you all for being here. So we will have a couple more of our, is there somebody else joining us?
Yeah, Greg. Sorry, I joined a second ago.
Okay.
This is Anthony Pisani. Good morning.
Excellent. Thank you.
I am the CFO of the locomotive business at General Electric. I apologize for not being there in person today, but it's the end of the quarter, and so we're feverishly working through. So I will be in and out, but I went to Penn State University Park, and I've been working with Greg for the last year or so, working on building internships here at GE for some of the finance students. So thanks.
Excellent. Thank you, Anthony. And Jessica, would you like to introduce yourself?
Oh, hi, sorry I'm late. Jessica Zhao, Associate Professor of Finance. Glad to be here.
Excellent. And again, we will have some advisory board members that will be coming in later and throughout the morning and joining us on the phone. We also will have some faculty, depending on class schedules, that will be leaving and coming back and so forth, along with our presentations. So thank you all for being here. What I'd like to do is spend some time, perhaps 20 minutes, just giving you an overview about our finance program, because things are moving so rapidly and there's so much going on. Even those of you who graduated from this program, I think, will be shocked at all of the new innovations that are taking place within the program. So I'm going to overview a little bit about our finance program here, give you a little bit about the background, where we're going, some of our strategic initiatives that are taking place. This will serve as an overview. From here, Rick and I are going to tag team. Rick is going to talk about the financial planning track, if you will. We don't have formal tracks, but students, we tend to help guide them into a couple of areas, financial planning and financial analysis. I'll then overview what's going on in the financial analysis front. And then we have a series of presentations that will take place after that point by members of the faculty, students, and so forth, to kind of highlight some of the things that are going on in our program. We will be bringing in lunch about 11:30. We'll have a working lunch for event taking place. And our goal, even though we said we'd be finished by 12:30, we may finish out 15 minutes early or so. We will actually then transition into a second advisory board meeting for our economics program after that point. So this will be a very occupied room over the course of the day. So a little bit about our finance program. It may surprise you to note that our finance program is relatively young. The program major itself was approved in 1999. So we've been around for less than 2 decades. And as a result, those of you who've been through the program, or if you've looked at the courses that are required as a part of the major, there were already existing courses in place that you might think would have a tag of FIN or a finance course before them. But for example, the financial statement analysis course has an accounting prerequisite associated with it. The course numbering for our money and banking course is an econ course number. So we work with those programs to help deliver that content. So we obviously have strong partnerships with the other programs that were existing at the time we came in. Our first graduate came out in 2002. Once the program is approved, then you have to get folks into the queue to get ready for the major. So we actually graduated our first major at the first part of this last decade. Now, over that time period, we have seen our major grow incredibly. In fact, we are now the largest major in the Black School of Business, and we are the second largest major on campus. So there's nearly 40 undergraduate programs here at Penn State Behrend, and we find ourselves in a position that we're very excited about with the growth that's taking place at the major. Not only have we seen organic growth just associated with folks that are declaring finance as a major first. And in the Penn State system, we're unique in the fact that we allow double majors. That's something that doesn't occur at University Park. So as a result, in the reporting mechanisms that come back, we have to also show the fact that not only do we have folks that choose finance as a first major, but we're also the most popular second major on campus. And that is because if you think about the strategic positioning of finance, we fit in very nicely with other majors. In fact, our most popular double major is finance and accounting, and it has been over time, and that's a wonderful synergy that's worked well. I'm collecting information now from our students that are going to be graduating this spring, and as you might imagine, we've got a wide cross-section of folks with these double majors going into a variety of different careers. In fact, one of the things that tends to be occurring through the cross-pollination of our two programs is we have several students that are actually doing finance work in Big Four accounting firms as a part of that double major. Our second most popular double major that we see is finance and the IBE, or Interdisciplinary Business and Engineering program, and our International Business programs. Actually, International Business would rank second among our double majors. And Jessica, who's the disciplinary leader for International Business, can attest to the fact that we are the most popular double major for international business majors as well. We also have the IBE major, which is basically, that major is basically taking sort of the best of both worlds, getting a core set of knowledge in both engineering and in business. And finance tends to work really well with an engineering mindset, so a lot of folks will take the accounting finance module that's a part of the IBE program and then choose to major in finance as well. Business economics remains a very popular double major as well. We actually are seeing an increase in the number of double majors with MIS, or Management Information Systems, but quite honestly, we've had double majors almost across every program that you can imagine. So that has led to a growth not only organically for what we're doing, but also with other majors that believe that finance is a nice way to accompany what they're doing academically. The next piece I want to talk about is a more recent innovation, and that is our entire finance major that is delivered here residentially was approved to be offered as the program for a finance major through Penn State's World Campus. So World Campus is basically is Penn State Online, and it is made up of a number of different majors. Now, to give you a little bit of backdrop of information associated with that, World Campus has about 12,000 students and was just ranked #1 in the country among online undergraduate education programs. Originally, what happened was World Campus kind of worked within the Commonwealth campuses. There's 22 campuses that are involved in the Penn State system, and they put together a general business major. There was a movement that occurred about 3 or 4 years ago to try to start bringing in other majors besides just a general business major. And with that, the possibility that these programs could also meet, for example, our AACSB accreditation standards. That accreditation puts us in only 5% of business programs worldwide in terms of the rigor that's required to be able to maintain that accreditation. So the very first non-general business major that is being offered through World Campus is the finance major. And World Campus specifically requested that that major come from all of the different Penn State campuses, Behrend. So we offer our finance program through World Campus. The major was approved early last year after the minor the previous year. Starting this fall, every course that's required for the major, as we've built up the infrastructure, is and will be available online. We have a set of electives online as a part of that as well. And so we already have 25 students who've met the entrance to major requirements and are officially Penn State Behrend finance majors through World Campus. These students are located all over the country and world. So we're going to be doing a feature in our next newsletter. We actually have one of our majors. She has a 383, and she will be finishing up some of these required courses this next year, but she is in Thailand. And so we'll be doing a feature on her. We have students literally Pennsylvania, but also expanding out West Coast, East Coast, Mid-America. And I will tell you, it is exciting, but also frightening to see the number of folks who have declared an intent to eventually major in finance. So in addition to the 25 majors, the growth potential is enormous. We're looking at about 60 folks that are in the queue right now who are meeting the entrance to major requirements. and there are at least inquiries and interest on behalf of incoming students from another 170. So that program will be growing rapidly, and we just hope that we can keep up with the resources needed to be able to handle that growth. So we've got our organic growth here at Behrend as our major continues to grow, and we also see the growth from Wall Campus. So it also creates diversification opportunities for us, as you can imagine, as we think about what the population base looks like from Northwest Pennsylvania. Behrend is recruiting more and more actively internationally. We do have some restrictions in the Penn State system in terms of what we can do in the state of Pennsylvania. General Penn State recruiting can occur anywhere, but we're restricted to a 4-county region for recruiting purposes. So being able to go out internationally is going to be another way that we're going to generate growth domestically. And we have our largest incoming class of freshmen for this year, and actually I think we're going to even beat that from what we're seeing for numbers for next year. And also part of that growth is coming from international students. 130 international students started their freshman year this past year. Now, in any given year, the number of folks that we graduate will vary. I've signed off so far on 46 folks that are going to graduate in the spring. We have about 20 that graduated in December, and then we'll have another half dozen that will probably graduate over the summer. If you add those numbers up, you can see we're graduating about 70 students a year in finance. And interestingly, because we're not only popular as a first major, but a second major, students will often, over the course of their junior and senior year, start adding finance as a major. So even trying to get a snapshot of what our program looks like for most students that are in the queue that may not have officially declared a major. Now, you've met all of our faculty. I think everybody's here except one, and Tim will be here a little bit later. But we have 7 full-time faculty servicing our students, which is phenomenal if you think about what we're doing here from that standpoint. So we do have proposals in with the Penn State system to try to increase eventually over the next couple of years to increase by 2 more faculty lines. So we're very hopeful that will occur. So that's a little bit of a general information about the background of the program. Does anybody have any questions before I advance and kind of talk a little bit more about some other pieces that are going on? Okay, let's go through now and talk a little bit about some distinctive features for Penn State Behrend. And these are items that you're going to hear expanded upon over the course of the morning. So in the entire world, there are a total of 170 finance programs that are considered to be partner programs with the CFA Institute. And these are what's called university recognized programs. In order to become a university recognized program, there is a very laborious application process where you are essentially assuring that learning is taking place across 70% of the learning objectives that are associated with the CFA program. Now, we are the only program in the Penn State University system that is a university recognized program. And in all of Pennsylvania is just basically Behrend and Pitt. So in the whole state, there's only 2 programs that are recognized by the CFA Institute. Now, the beauty of this is not only that we appear on the CFA Institute website, but it also is that we have the ability, because we have 3 CFA charter holders on our faculty, Brian, Eric, and I, is that we have the ability to offer 5 scholarships for students to take the first level of the CFA exam. To give you some sense of the intensity of this program, the average candidate will study between 300 and 350 hours to pass each level of the 3 levels of the CFA exam. The pass rates for level 1 historically have been between 30 and 45% for the first level, and there are 211,000 people in the world that take this designation each year. It's the largest designation in business across all business disciplines in the world. It's offered in 160 countries worldwide. So this gives us a distinctive advantage from the standpoint of this accreditation, if you will, from the CFA Institute, and something we obviously take advantage of in our promotional efforts. To give you some sense of how well our students have done, I'll just take this past year, for example. We had 5 CFA level 1 candidates that received scholarships. And out of that group, 4 of the 5 passed. So we had an 80% pass rate Last year, the pass rate at that same time, I think, was just shy of 40%. So not only are we talking about students that are self-disciplined to study, we're talking about individuals that may have had an internship but not work experience. They are just going out in the workforce, and their pass rate is double that of what is generally finance professionals who are taking this. The average age of a CFA candidate is 29. So they're coming in with a real competitive advantage associated with this. In terms of what's going on to help prepare these students for this program, obviously we have fantastic faculty, but I did send also a document out that shows how our learning objectives associated with the courses are mapped to those CFA discipline learning objectives, and our faculty are really do an outstanding job getting our students ready. The rigor of our curriculum here is amazing. In addition, there's a weekly study group that takes place on campus. All of the CFA candidates get together, with the exception of one who's in Paris for study abroad, and they are studying each week. Starting on Monday afternoons, they work for 2 to 3 hours a night as a group based on work they've done over the previous week, and they'll do that for 18 weeks over the course of the semester. They're also on Tuesday nights viewing a Swayzer video feed for a level 1 class, and 2 of the students are going to New York City for a 5-day program in May to prepare for the exam. It's a huge commitment, and so we're very proud of it. Both here at Behrend and also through World Campus, we have 2 different programs that are certified by the CFP board. And Rick's going to talk a lot about what's going to be going on the financial planning side, but this is also a very distinctive opportunity for us to be able to have this marquee program, and I'm going to let Rick talk more about that when he gets up in this presentation. But students who take the course, the 6-course sequence that will meet the learning objectives, over 80 learning objectives associated with the CFP program, they are ready to set for the CFP exam right out of college. They don't have to meet any other educational requirements. Now, this is a huge advantage because, at least the last set of numbers I saw, over 30,000 individuals in this country are taking education components to try to get ready to set for the CFP exam. So our students that come out with this certificate have met those educational requirements and are ready to go. We're also going to be talking a little bit later about some of the work that's going on between cross-disciplinary, particularly with respect to work with the engineering area. As a part of our corporate finance area, we have basically joint work going on between engineering, in particular plastics and manufacturing engineering, and our corporate finance area, which produces each year, and we'll talk about competitions as well, opportunities for these students to compete and do very well in 2 different regional competitions that we'll be highlighting a little bit later this morning. We also have the ability through our course sequence to help prepare for what ends up being about a quarter of our students that are going into the areas of banking, insurance, real estate, and other areas as well. So if you look at our curriculum was last revised in 2010. We have a core set of courses and 2 electives so that students can specialize. We've got a lot of innovations going on. Again, we'll talk about this area of financial analysis versus financial planning. But this next year, we're introducing 2 courses in energy finance for folks that want to take up that as a specialization. So again, lots of activity going on with respect to this. I want to mention for just a moment too some of the other highlights that we have associated with our program. Starting in 2006, we were the first program at Behrend to have our own Facebook page. And I'm looking at people in the room that are part of that page as well. That page allows us to be able to communicate not only to our existing students, but our alumni, and has grown. We now have over 500 alumni and current students that are part of this page. Now, this is not a like page. It's not a thing where you go out and click a like and you're on. This is one where you're part of a group. You join the group. It's a closed group, so you can't have random people that just say, oh, yes, I like finance, I'm going to click that. These are our students and our alumni that are involved as a part of this program. So about 100 of the individuals that are on that Facebook page are current students. 400 of these are alumni. And that is so exciting because it is so nice to be able to have a student walk in and say, I just applied for internship at BNY Mellon. I use this as an example because it occurred 2 weeks ago. I'm wondering if there's any alumni that are down there that can help. Well, I know there's 9 folks that are down there at BNY Mellon who are our alumni. I sent a message to the 9 of them, included this person on there, and then within a half hour, 6 of them are going back and forth saying, I can move your resume through here, let me help here, I'll make a phone call for you. So even though our program is young and our alumni are relatively young, we see that our alumni are doing so well and they're moving into some really key positions, and it allows for a lot of opportunities for this to occur. So we're very proud of this page. It is a page that's very actively posted upon, not only by our finance club comes out and does their postings, our finance speaker series. We do job postings, so if we receive job postings that may be of interest to alumni or students, we put out there as well. And I'm president of the CFA Society of Pittsburgh, and I do postings out there as well because we take students down to Pittsburgh every month down to the analyst meeting to be able to meet these individuals. And we often have our alumni joining us at those meetings. And again, several of the alumni are very much plugged into that society. Tim's going to be in a little bit later, and we're also going to have a presentation from the Student Managed Fund that's going to talk about our Student Managed Fund activities. This is a crown jewel for our program as well. We have over $200,000 that's being managed through the Student Managed Fund. Tim will talk about the curricular innovations that have occurred in that course and how that is handled from the perspective of the fund. We also have an FMA chapter. Josh McAleer will be back in here a little bit later this morning. He'll get set up for this. He serves as president of that organization. We have an honor society associated with it, and we've just applied for a chapter excellence award because we have met every criteria that is required for that particular award. Bruce, you're still on the phone, aren't you? Bruce, are you there? Okay. Bruce, who is joining us today and is part of our Finance Advisory Board, leads an effort every 2 weeks. It's the Alumni Task Force, and they're doing some very interesting work right now with JCPenney, and they're going through doing industry analysis, looking at JCPenney and so forth. And we have students that get together every 2 weeks. He works over a working lunch with them, and basically have been doing that for many years. I want to talk about our certificate programs throughout the morning, both as a part of our individual presentations and so forth. But we're also unique in that, in addition to our major and minor, which are offered both domestically here on campus and then through World Campus, we have a number of different certificate programs that are associated with finance. Rick will talk about financial planning. Our risk management certificate program is in conjunction with the stats and math department and helps prepare students who want to set for the first level of the financial risk manager designation. 33,000 people take that each year through GAR. And this particular designation, we have folks, actually we just had a graduate last year who passed the second level right after graduation and now has the FRM charter, which is very exciting. Calvin Dusett. Actuarial mathematics is also a partnership program with math and stats to get students ready for the first 2 Society of Actuary designations associated with probability and statistics, and on our part, the financial mathematics part. We have a financial service sales certificate, which is really for students who may not academically really want to go for the CFP designation, but they are interested in being in the area of financial sales. So this takes some of our finance courses and then some of the courses that are coming from psychology, also marketing and so forth, to help cultivate the, if you will, the personality characteristics that are necessary to be successful in financial service sales. We also have an entrepreneurship certificate program between management, marketing, and finance to help students get ready if they're interested in becoming entrepreneurs. We do not have an entrepreneurship program right now. It's in the queue in our vision document, but right now this is how we help our students. And through finance, we also sponsor the entrepreneurship club. There is a controllership certificate program, which the accounting program is going to be submitting, which will also include our Finance 451 class as part of that framework, and that's in the queue as well. So that's a little bit about overview for our program. I mentioned the University Recognized Program. Rick is going to talk about the certificate in financial planning, and obviously over the course of the morning, we're going to talk about many different types of competitions. This is the season for competitions, but if you look at this framework up here, these 5 competitions that I've listed have all taken place in the months of March and April. Coming up last month and this month alone, we've had 5 competitions that we've been involved in, and we've done quite well. and we've distinguished ourselves. We'll talk about those over the course of the morning. We're going to have some presentations with this, but I think you can see that we have ways of not only putting out a good program, but also with competition against other schools, be able to show the great work that's being done by our faculty here and the wonderful students that we're graduating this year. Any questions or comments before we move on to our next segment of the program?
When do you sleep?
Midnight before. Any other, that's a true statement.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Okay. So we're going to move on with our presentation. What we're going to do at this point is we're going to divide off and talk a little bit about kind of the, what I'll say is the two main areas that we tend to operate in for our students, and that is going to be in the area of financial analysis and financial planning. Rick Henrik is going to speak next about the area of financial planning and have a lot of great information for you on that. So Rick?
No, there was the certificate financial planning.
It should be in there.
Was it zero?
Was it in there?
No.
Okay, I can run down this. Well, you're
She
talking
said it
about,
was gonna be in the box. Is there?
if you didn't see it in here?
No.
Okay, I'll run down and ask the name.
Well, she had 50 of them. She said she was putting in the box. I was gonna hand it to them, to the folder. Come back.
Oh, thank you. Correct.
Ah, hand out.
There you go.
Was I quicker to discuss the folder? All right, so I'm Rick Hedrick, and I'm going to talk to you about the financial planning program. Our financial planning program, as Greg said, is a CFP registered program. So the advantage of the students taking the CFP course, or the CFP registered program certificate, is that they meet the educational requirements. So when I went to school, they didn't offer it. After I graduated, I still had to take 6 more courses. So these students have the ability to meet the educational requirements while they're still in their undergraduate studies. And then they can go down to school. As far as who offers the registered program, in the whole Penn State system, only Penn State, Behrend, and got that backwards. It would be Penn State, Behrend, 3, Penn State, Willow campus.
It looks good.
Okay, so we are the only one that have this certificate program out of all the Penn State campuses. The Penn State Behrend one, the application process started in 1998. So we've had it here for roughly 15 years. And then the World Campus is new. We just started it in the fall of 2013. We had, I met with a student from University Park this semester who was going to transfer here from University Park because they don't offer this program. He wanted to pursue it. So that's one big advantage that we have here at Penn. So that's out of the Penn State system. There's roughly 300 universities that offer the CFP registered program. Locally, I know Mercier's has it and Edinburgh has it. So those would be our other competitors in that area. As far as what courses are required, it's a challenging certificate to earn, because you have to earn 18 credits. One advantage is, if you're a finance major, you have to take number 3 classes. And then there's 2 400 level electives that they can take. So that would fulfill the retirement planning and estate planning. So a lot of students will jump into the program. Well, this is another slide down the road, but it's challenging to track who's really actually in our program. We don't know until we know. But these are the 6 courses that are required. So generally, it's recommended you start with personal financial planning and insurance. It's heavy in insurance, cover every area of insurance, and then it's an intro to retirement plan investment research, budgeting, and all that stuff. Then, if they're interested, they can go and take the retirement plan investment, state income tax, and now the CFP board recently added the senior capstone course, which we're offering this semester, which is the first time we've been offered. And it's basically case studies. So you've learned all this material in the last 5 courses. Now show me what you learned that you applied it. So those are the course requirements for the certificate program. As far as why students pursue this certificate, there's about half of them want to become CFPs. Then there's potential career path options. 21 years old, you really know what you want to do. So by being a finance major, you've got that CFA road available to you. By taking a few extra courses, you have another path open to you that if the CFA is where you want to go, you're ready to sit for the CFP. So a potential career path option. Because they can, some students never intended to take it, but they took the 430, they took these numbers. They took retirement planning, they took estate planning, they took investments, they're almost there. So they say, I'm just going to take the other couple courses, and it's something that I can put on my resume, make me different from other people. And then the fourth bullet there is the accounting students who need 150 credits. So like Greg said, there's a lot of dual major accounting finance. And these accounting majors, if you want to sit for the CPA exam, they require 150 credits. So a lot of the accounting finance students will pursue the certificate in financial planning so that they can become CPAs, which complements each other because they're still dealing with people and that allows them to help financial planning. How many students are in this program? So I started to talk about this a few slides back. It's hard to track because there's no registration for the certificate. They just start taking courses. Prior to the capstone, which we just started this year, I never knew who was officially in the program until they turned in their sheet to the registrar that said they completed the certificate. So at least now I know one semester ahead. And currently we have 12 students enrolled in the capstone course. So there's how many finance graduates? 70?
46 will graduate in spring.
46, 12 of them are going to earn the certificate by the over a quarter. And as far as jobs, I know at least half of them are going into financial planning and already have jobs. But we'll talk about this in the slide. So the career outlook, financial planning, with all the baby boomers, the financial advisors that are currently working in the field are an aging population. So there's a lot of room for growth. It's not hard to get positions in financial planning. One of the dilemmas that a lot of students face is the commission. But I talk to them and say, it's the entrepreneur. You know, if you're a businessman, you're commissioned, right? You're not getting a salary, and that's what you're doing. And if you're 21 years old, live at home for 2 years, right? Build a business. I mean, this field, this financial planning, in the beginning, you're the most overworked, underpaid person. But in time, as your business grows, you're welcome. Can I say you're underworked and overpaid? So it's a great field. It's just getting students. There are positions available in financial planning that are salary. And in the short run, you're better off with the salary, but you're stuck in that. And in 10 years from now, you're getting that salary when you just dove in when you were 21 years old. Lived at home for 2 years, only 2, I tell them. Don't stay there forever, but live at home for a little while. How much money are you making now? You're gonna be still making a lot more than you're making now, and you're gonna make a lot more later on in life if you go. So the career outlook is excellent for financial planning. As far as internships, we're always looking for placement of the students for internships to get them real world experience. So I put this slide in case any of our advisory board would ever come across anybody who's in this field who may have internships available, or if you personally would be interested in internships, I'd be happy to talk to you about that. Question?
I was gonna say, so, yeah, so when you, do you guys like seek out students sometimes that they have 4 to 6 courses now, and you say, hey, if you put these extra 2 courses, I mean, is that gonna kind of be, you're trying to grow the program, I guess?
Yes, we're trying to grow the program, but we've never taken them.
I was just curious because like if I had taken 4 or 5 of them, and I didn't know, that would be good to know to kind of say, hey.
Now, that's a good question, because you get a certificate if you complete the 6 courses here. CFP board requires you to take these 6 courses. You don't have to take all 6 here. So if they only get 4, they can go on Penn State World Campus after they graduate and earn the other 2. If they did it, they'd still get the certificate because we're both Penn State Behrend. But they could go to another university and complete those other 2. The advantage of them earning it through us, is that when these students are in the capstone course, when they're done, I send in all their information to the CFP board and they're registered. I validated their educational requirements. If they want to spread it over different universities, they need to get transcripts from each of those universities. It's their job.
And so if they get the certificate, then did they take the test immediately after graduation, or did they have to get that work requirement first?
You can take the test immediately, but you can't put a CFP designation next to the name until you have work. And that was another thing that was talked about at the last CFP board registration conference last August, was the low number of these students that actually sit courses, which didn't surprise me, and it didn't surprise a lot of people that were sitting there but listening to CFP board. They want more CFPs. But when I went through why the students take it, there's lots of students who are using it as a potential for that. So they're not going to jump in. I mean, it's a lot of work to sit for the CFP. There's a lot of big time to study. They take these 6 courses, but that was over a 2 to 3 year period. You could spend 6 months studying for that exam. So.
Other questions for Rick? Guess you got to answer them all. Okay. Thank you, Rick.
Welcome.
Okay, so where we're going to go next is going to, I want to talk to you a little bit about the analysis part of our curriculum. And I'm going to kind of pick up where I was discussing earlier about the role that we have with the University Recognized Program. So the way the curriculum changed in 2010 is we used to have a lockstep program. Everybody had to take the same set of required courses. Now, in addition to the entrance to major and core courses in business that is required for the finance major, additionally to that, every finance major will obviously have the introductory corporate finance course. They will have international finance, which Jessica teaches. They will have the intermediate corporate finance course, which is the course I teach. And they will have the investments course, which residentially Eric Robbins teaches. So in addition, they can then select two electives that, two 400 level finance electives. And as Rick mentioned, they could select those two electives in the area of financial planning. And he went through and showed you what those courses look like. I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the courses that fall more on the analytical row. They also have to take a econ requirement, and our recommendation is the money and banking course for that. They take two accounting-based courses, basically an accounting 305 and 426, which is giving them, if you will, the financial statement analysis and the framework for the courses that would make up the major. And then as far as on the analytical side, what we have to offer for them is portfolio management, which is the Finance 461 course. Tim will be in a little bit, and we'll be talking to you specifically about what goes on in that course. The other elective course they can take is 427, which is a derivatives course. Now, this course, for those of you who graduated some time ago, did not exist until we launched that course in 2010. So we've offered that in the fall semester, and it's grown quite a bit because we usually have about 30 students that take that course when we offer it. We have about 25 of those students will be finance majors, but about 5 come from the math and stats program because since we're getting into derivative securities, and those who are interested in risk management or interested in the actuarial science area will need the content to help them set for the financial mathematics exam as a part of the Society of Actuaries. So we actually map our learning objectives to both programs as part of that derivatives course. This semester, for the first time ever, and the only place in the Penn State system that you can get this course, a fixed income securities course was offered in the spring. And that course also ties into the CFA curriculum as well. That course will probably be offered every 2 years. That's our plan at this point. We'll see how it goes in terms of demand. But that is another piece that's available to us. So again, from an analysis standpoint, if we think about portfolio management, security analysis, those are the courses that go in that. If we think about it from a corporate finance framework, we also, many of these courses are also going to apply, financial statement analysis and so forth, but we're also offering 2 courses next year. In the fall, we will have an intro energy finance course and a second level energy finance course. Jeff will be teaching the first course, Tim will be teaching the second course, and those 2 courses are mapped to the Energy Risk Professional designation, or the ERP designation, which is offered through GARP, which is the same group that does the FRM designation, Financial Risk Management. So it's going to be, and we're actually trying to get our program certified. It looks pretty good. There's only 4 programs in the country right now that are certified. This designation has been around for about 6 years, and so we've got an application rolling to be able to get that out there. And when this happens, then we're promoting on the website. So that's another piece that's really good. Most of the programs that are associated with GARP are graduate level programs. So to get an undergraduate program in there for this is very exciting. So we're developing those courses. Now, those 2 courses, the energy finance courses, are going to be offered as online courses. They will be available to our residential students. They will also be available to our world campus students. So that will assure some extra demand for those courses as we knit those 2 populations together, which is something as we start growing into other areas as well, to the extent that we develop them in that framework, we can have the demand in place to be able to continue moving in other areas as we move along with that. 13 courses feed into the registration that we did for this particular program. And we have to cover the ethics associated with the CFA Institute. I offer every spring a financial ethics course as an independent study, which basically the CFA Standard of Ethics Handbook serves as that course. They have 6 quizzes, they have an exam that goes with that, so that we can meet that component as well. And we will actually introduce that as a new course that we will get on the Penn State books going forward as well. I have that now set up completely, so online, so we can offer that both residentially and also through our campus. So this is very helpful for us in the sense that not only are we a university recognized program, but later this morning you're going to see the presentation that took place by the Investment Research Challenge team. Now, from the more financial analysis section of our curriculum, you're going to see the rigor of evaluation that they did for Blackbox, a Pittsburgh-based company, and they were in competition. And just to give you some sense of how rough this competition is, there were 10 universities that started out with an interest this past year in Western Pennsylvania for the competition. 4 of the schools could not put it together. I mean, the amount of work that took place. We watched West Virginia drop out. We watched Duquesne drop out. We watched all these schools start dropping out. California University of Pennsylvania was supposed to be involved. So these schools dropped out. 6 teams actually competed. Guess what team finished dead last? Carnegie Mellon. Okay, so that gives you some sense of the rigor of this program, and they put together a pretty good presentation. What we found was Pitt won, and we finished neck and neck with University Park. 50% of the presentation is based on the analytical report that is done, and 50% on the presentation. We actually outscored University Park on the written report. And our analysis was much more in depth. They beat us on the presentation by enough to flip the order, but we were neck and neck. So we're going to be working on that presentation part real heavily because we got the analytical piece together. So that's going to be one of our goals this next year as we continue on in competition. Tim will talk a little bit about the Engage conference, but we're also going to be entering the stock pitch competition that goes with that. So when you think about the financial analysis side and you think about portfolio management, financial analysis, that's 2 areas. I'm going to talk to you a little bit later on this morning about some of the work that we're doing for competitions in the Open Business Plan competition, as well as the Erie Innovation collegiate competition that will be taking place later this month. Does anybody have any questions at this point about, just in general, about how kind of the financial analysis? But the 2 primary areas would obviously be related to the portfolio management and financial analysis, but also to the corporate finance area. Okay, there are no questions at this point. I'll continue on with a little bit more. So what do we do to try to assist these students? Well, as you know, in this area, so it's going to be important, and I'm going to focus right now on financial analysis, portfolio management. This is not an area typically where a lot of the organizations come to campus to recruit. With 7 years experience and the CFA designation, the average salary is about $180,000. So these are lucrative career opportunities. The Berk Society, I'm president of that society. We're about 460 members strong. And then Eric remains a member over in the Cleveland Society, and they're about the same size as the Pittsburgh Society. So we take students over to the societies to be able to interact with the financial analyst. So the rule that I have when I take groups down is you're not allowed to talk to each other while you're down there at the meeting. You can't sit together. And so typically there are students from Behrend and students from Penn, and that's it. No other universities are represented at that. The analysts love our students. I cannot tell you the number of folks that come up to me talk about how sharp they are, how great they are, and we're making a lot of inroads. We have folks, our alumni are employed at 3 major firms down there that hold CFA charter holders, which is BNY Mellon, Federated, and PNC. So those are the 3 areas of 3 businesses that are large. We also have done a lot of work trying to make inroads into some of the boutique firms. I'll give you an example. We have Behrend Tillotson, which is down in Pittsburgh, is a firm where the alumni came from Grove City and Allegheny. So their owners have exclusively only hired from those 2 schools throughout their history. Well, we've got an intern from Penn State Behrend now for the summer. Tyler Brose is going to be working down there. We went down and did a pitch to the company directly, and we showed the program, and everyone's like, "Wow!" Now some of the older regime there were kind of sitting back and had their fingers on their knees and skeptical, but everybody there recognized, and I was told, they're trying to really build up the analytical framework that they have at the firm. So they were very, very impressed with Tyler. So that's taking place. We've also made some inroads over with Manny Naker in Rochester. And again, folks are working everywhere in there. I'm just giving you a couple of examples. of areas where our students have some inroads with respect to internships. And Eric is taking groups over as well. Now, the Cleveland Society this fall is going to have a job fair. And so we've been invited to be able to take our students over to their job fair. And then the Pittsburgh Society, we're going to have a job fair in 2016. So we're going to be taking our students down to those events, and it's going to be sponsored by the societies. And I've been corresponding with the president of the Cleveland Society, and they're going to be passing on all of their information to us in terms of how they set that up. But these are opportunities for us to go to them, which is what you have to do in that area to really lock down opportunities. Does anybody have any questions about anything related to our efforts? We do a lot of outreach efforts, and we're really focused on very actively, and again, I'm going to echo Rick's pitch. We can really use your help as advisory board members. If you and your company are folks in your professional network, if you have needs for internships or for full employment positions for graduating seniors, we really welcome any leads that you can pass on to us. We have a very concerted effort going in with the Black School of Business, which is with Balaji coming in, has been a phenomenal ad because he's created infrastructure to try to assist students more. But our goal is we'd love to have every junior have an internship going in to their junior year, some of their junior, senior year. But we have been working very aggressively with students with a 3.5 or better to make sure that that can occur. And we're doing more tracking. We're creating a database, and he's actually hired a couple of the part-time folks that are going to be working exclusively here in the Black School of Business to try to collect that information and make a greater awareness. We've always been more cutting edge in finance. We've been doing this for years, kind of on our own, but now with that infrastructure support that's taking place, will be very helpful. I'm already collecting information from our graduating seniors right now on their job titles, positions, where they're going, and so forth, or if they're still in need for positions. And so we're very appreciative of the efforts. And again, I can turn over to even a couple people there on the phone, as well as those in the room that have been very helpful in trying to facilitate that. And that's part of the conversation that will take place. So we're really appreciative of all your efforts and the continued efforts that you do to try to help us in that area. Any questions? Okay, at this point, we're going to go to our next part of our agenda, and I'm going to introduce Tim Krause to talk to us a little bit about the structure of 461 in our student management.
Hello. I apologize, tardy today. The alarm clock is on my wife's side of the bed, and she's not working on Good Friday. I did not tell her I had a meeting. Thank you. This is so good morning. I'm Tim Krause. I am a new assistant professor here at Penn State Behrend. I wanted to, since this is our first finance advisory board meeting, I wanted to let you know a little bit about me, a little bit about the structure of finance. Portfolio theory and analysis, actually portfolio management and analysis, but it's really about evaluation and how that integrates with the entry areas and student management. So, a little bit about me. So, I wanted to be in politics. I went to school in Washington, D.C. I wanted to be a spy, actually. But I found out that you don't get paid a lot. You might get shot. So, I went back and got my MBA and eventually my PhD. But in between those, there's a long period of time I spent in the investments business. I first started out as a clerk at the Philadelphia Stock Exchange, back when we used paper tickets. And I would run the tickets back from my traders to the clearinghouse. Eventually, one of my traders decided to teach me how to trade. I became an options market maker there in Philadelphia. Thought I'd try the investment banking world for a while. Moved to BNP in the early 90s. I moved to London, traded upstairs. I had to wear a suit and tie. I found after a few years, I wasn't crazy about wearing a suit and tie, going to meetings. So I left. When I moved to Chicago, became a floor trader there for a number of years. mostly trading equity, derivatives, stock options, basically. And that business, we went decimal in the early 2000s. The profit margins were 0. I got out of that business and pursued a couple other things, but along the way, I became an adjunct professor at a couple different schools. I found I really liked teaching, and that's why, after this long gap in industry, I went back to my PhD and was lucky enough to get a position here. So I teach derivatives, portfolio management, fixed income, and I'm working with Jeff for next year to start a course, 2 courses actually in energy finance. That's all. So, I gave a presentation to the overall, the board, the Black School of Business Advisory Board last semester. It was all kind of, I remember. So many things going on. It's a new job for me, my first time as a full-time teacher. But I don't think I did any of this stuff. But I wanted to be a little more thorough today. Talk a little bit about my research. It's not that interesting. It's mainly regarding exchange traded funds. Market structure. So I'm somewhat qualified to be the leader of the student management. Actually, my students are the facilitate. So the Intrieri Family Student Managed Fund. Take a little history. It started in 2012. Distinguished alumni fellow Vincent Intrieri gave the school $100,000. He is senior managing director with Icon Capital Management. I have to give credit to my predecessor, Hunter Holzhauer, who did an amazing job getting this whole thing set up. I have had limited experience dealing with University Park and getting things done. I'm amazed. He was able to do this in a relatively short order. Mr. Intrieri gave us an additional $35,000 last year, and the fund's current value is almost $200,000. Students have been doing very well. In its first year, it outperformed the S&P 500 by a little over 2%. Last year, we weren't doing so well, underperformed by 4%. But so far this year, this is just for the first quarter, we're up 2.5% over the S&P 500. And we're shifting our benchmark away from just S&P 500 to our investment policy statement originally called for 80% S&P, 10% EC, and 10% Russell 2000. That hasn't been implemented until this semester. We actually have found stocks that we like in those sectors. So we're going to shift to this new benchmark. Unfortunately, EC is doing really well this year, so we're not quite as much over EC as we are. A new benchmark that we are at. And because of the way I like to do things, which is a focus on value, the portfolio is shifting away from growth towards value. Later this morning, you're going to hear from the president of the fund and 2 of the analysts in the fund. They'll go into more detail. I have a clock. I have 20 slides here and 10 minutes to talk, which you know, about 2.5 times too many. So I'm going to go through this rapidly, but you'll get more detail from the student presentation. Here's a picture of the portfolio as of July 2014, about when I took over. And you can see relative to the S&P 500, we were a little bit out of whack as far as the sectors go. Those have been adjusted. We're getting a little bit closer to being back in line with the S&P 500. We want to be in line with the S&P 500 weights plus or minus 5%. And we're almost there. I think the consumer defensive is the only one that still have an issue. But my focus and what I teach the students is to find good stocks and let the sectors fall where they may, with some general guidelines. And you can see with my approach towards value, this is where the portfolio was in July. It's the Morningstar X-ray. These are all the percentages. So the S&P 500 is pretty much 30, 30, 30 across the board. And I just subtracted July from March here to get to see how we've kind of gotten rid of 13% of large growth. We're sort of shifting to the left with value. This is becoming harder and harder to do because the market is fairly well valued to the historical peaks right now, and we're going into a rising interest rate environment. So it's hard to find value stocks, but we're still trying. So my approach, and it really corresponds with School's approach of 3 themes. We do all 3 things all the time. Finance 461 is my class. Students in that class are analysts. They analyze stocks. Pretty much 80% of the class is doing valuations, creating research notes, trying to find undervalued stocks. And then lead analysts are former 461 students who take a 1 credit course with me to they sort of lead and mentor the analysts within the class. And that's pretty much how it works. Whenever I explain this at the beginning of the semester, students are like, wait, that's pretty much it. And throughout the course, there's a series of 8 investment challenges, which I borrowed from Hunter, actually. And they focus on these types of things, discounted cash flow, relative valuation, all these analysis techniques. So once they do these 8 things, they're able to put them all together in one piece of research, which we publish. Well, we don't publish it, but for the class, we publish a research note, and then the students make decisions based on other students' research. Any questions on how it works? So we've got research notes now for every stock that's in our fund. When I started, there was roughly 50 stocks. There's not a lot of rationale why they were in the fund. Now we have, this is an example, this is just half of a page, a 4-page report. We have price targets over here, and a recommendation. United Healthcare, the stock is, this was recommended, what's the date on it? 2/12, it's already hit its price target, so that was a good one. Which, it's good when stocks hit their price targets, that means they went up, but then I have a limited, last semester I only had 16 students, so keeping up with 50 stocks was a challenge. This semester I had 30, so it's, we now have price targets for every stock that's in the fund. And there's our tracking sheet where we keep, these are all the stocks that are in the fund. One of our students is a dual finance MIS major. He's created a lot of reports just based off Excel. Crystal reports, reports. He'll tell you about that later. But if you look over here, green means the stock is undervalued, which is good. We want green. When at the beginning of the year, about half of this was red. So we found probably 25 or 30 stocks that were in the fund. We found them to be overvalued. We sold them and replaced them in stocks that we considered to be undervalued. And then we keep track of, these are stocks that have either been sold out of the fund or we evaluated them and they were not buys. So we keep track of those just in case. Like National Fuel Gas, which is our local gas supplier. We sold this stock back in February at around $69. It's since pulled back to 63, and now it's a buy. So now we'll take a look at that again and say, based on our valuation, now it's a buy, maybe we should sell something else, something off of original target sheet. We have a couple stops in the red. You may want to move. Sector analysis, I mentioned that briefly. Just keeping track of where we want to be in terms of the S&P 9, S&P 500 sectors. Running out of time, so I'll do that for the students. Justin is an MIS student who developed. This is really cool, actually. Each analyst in the fund, speaking there, each analyst in the fund on a weekly basis gets a report with their sectors, what their stocks did, and how their stock sector weighting was. And we previously were doing this all in Excel. This one's still a little under construction. But Justin's working on this to show us our total appreciation. You can see it's under construction. The utilities had almost like 30% appreciation. But that's because he added all the stocks. Another new initiative this year, we participated in the Age 2015 stock competition, which was in Detroit, Michigan, where the students made a 10-minute video pitching a particular stock. Freeport McMoran it was. And we sent off the video. 30 teams submitted. The top 12 then submitted in person at the conference. We didn't make it this year to the top 12, but we were close. I have to say, even one of the teams that was in the top 3, I think we were close to. So we'll keep working on that. We had a few technical difficulties. Okay. One of the last things, new things going forward, through some of my contacts in Chicago that I still keep in touch with, I was able to obtain this trading technology software, which is pretty advanced. It's more oriented towards derivatives than it is equities. I'm going to try to integrate that into my classroom. One of the great things, I talked about the 3 themes, innovating through collaboration. Currently, we work with SUE, Society for Undergraduate Economists. Actually, their president is an analyst in our fund. She helps provide economic and market analysis. I mentioned management information. Justin, working with MIS professors to identify students who would like to participate. And keep the word Justin's graduating, so, and I have no idea how this system works. So I'm trying to get another MIS system students to take over. And then eventually, like to get some accounting students involved as well. CFA Investment Challenge. You mentioned that already.
They're going to present, yeah, integrate with them.
I'm going to try to work more with the CFA Investment Challenge. They do pretty much what we do. This is, I copied their the first page or half page of their research report. I'm going to try to work with them more, so we support them with those efforts as well. Full implementation of deals. That's perfect. I meant so many times for questions. Any questions or answers?
A couple of quick questions on your portfolio. You know, you're going through a value composition now, and involved in that's going to be a little bit of turnover. And do you have any parameters set for turnover rates, maximum, minimum percent turnover? And second question is tax implications. Have you any tax implications of the sale of the securities? And thirdly, I think you just did a good job. So
thanks, Ron. Appreciate it. Let me answer the second question first because that's easy. The money is all Penn State, nonprofit, so there's no tax. Okay, no tax implications. Turnover. I thought someone might ask that question, so I looked yesterday. My turnover is pretty high since I got it, probably 30%.
No, that's not bad. Going from growth to value,
Yeah,
you know, and only 30% turnover, that's not bad.
actually, I should be stating, it's been 30% since September.
Okay.
That changes things.
Good job, though.
Annualized basis, probably close to 50. That should change going forward, especially in this market, and it's tough to find undervalued stuff. So what I think is gonna happen is, we're gonna keep doing our valuations. We're gonna build up a buy list, and we're gonna have to wait for pullback in order to buy stocks. It's easier to find stocks to sell than to buy them.
So do you have allocation towards cash in the portfolio? Can you keep some cash or not?
No,
No.
the mandate is to be
100% invest, okay. Now, your performance, is that, do you include any fees in there, or net of fees, or?
That's net of fees.
Okay.
The account is at a TD Ameritrade, they charge us $10.
Okay.
That's not a lot. We account for it.
Do you reinvest all the dividends back into the stock, or do you guys collect those in cash?
They're collected for cash, but they're invested pretty quickly. You know, but I say, this semester, we haven't let any more than $500 go out in cash before this. We found it's going to be an evolution. It was easier and harder this semester since I've been here, because there were a lot of stocks that we found that were undervalued, overvalued, that were in the fund, so it's easy to say sell now. I think it's going to be a challenge for me in the fall. If everything's green on the list, what do we do? There's nothing we want to sell. So that'll be a change for me. But that's a good problem to have.
Did I notice that if it was an 8% potential appreciation, that's what it was buy?
Exactly. That's the criteria. Just historically like this. It's a random choice. Thank you.
Hey guys, I'm Eric Robbins, and I'll be partnering here with Jeff Coy as we talk about stock track simulations that I operate in the investments class, as well as some outreach efforts that Jeff and I have both been involved in, some of it together, some of it separately. My concept with the investments class has been to do two different things. One of them, to prepare some of the students that are going to be going into Tim's class, to give them a foundation that he can then build on in the valuation side. The other subset of students that are not going on to the portfolio management theory, they don't want to move down that investment track, I want them to at least have some exposure to what's a mutual fund, what's an ETF, what's an option, some of these basic principles of investing, so that when they eventually get their own 401k, they at least can start out on better footing than their peers that don't have that experience. And through that, what we've done is we have a stock track simulation that we do. I have my students start the semester. Actually, we go about 4 weeks into lecture and giving them some background, giving them a tour of Morningstar's website, and then I turn them loose. I don't give them any direction on what they have to pick or how they have to pick it. I just let them go and explore. It's their sandbox. So they'll go and they'll explore. And the first challenge is mutual funds and ETFs only. In the second challenge, which they just started about 2 weeks ago, after they've had even more lecture time, is stocks and options. And my hope is that they will try some things and have some successes, try some things and have some failures, and learn through the entire process. That's the overall goal. Students can monitor their own Sharpe ratios, they can monitor their alpha and beta, they can monitor how they are faring relative to their peers. And in the mutual fund and ETF challenge, they have $100,000 to play with. And in stocks and ETFs, just to encourage a little recklessness, I give them $500,000. So the goal is for them to go out and to buy some things and have it go miserably, and then they learn from it. Because we often learn from our failures better than we learn from our successes. And so I want them to have that experience in a virtual sandbox rather than actually with their 401k or their future inheritance something. So I just wanted to show you a couple of comments that some students have made and in their end of semester process. I do not grade them based on performance. I grade them based on what they learned from the experience. I give them bonus points if they beat the S&P, also further encouraging a little bit more aggressive path on their investments as well. But this is actually a student that you'll hear from a little bit later, Josh. You can read that here. He said he's been a superb project. Absolutely learned a lot about his own investment personality and the way mutual funds act within the market as a whole. I like this last statement here. Market does not always do what you expect it to do. That's excellent. If you can learn that in the simulation, I'm pleased. I've done it, okay? And then this is another student, John Feshko. He's an accounting and finance major. So about to graduate. And so his last line here, hopefully this experience will keep me from making the same mistakes in the future with real money in the real world. And that again is part of the idea with this process. For those students that are not then moving up to 461 to the portfolio management theory class, I really want to give them this learning experience. So that is what I do on the simulation side of things. I can kind of take questions on that after we're done, jointly with our presentation. I wanted to jump over to some outreach. One of the outreach efforts that we do here, one that I'm very proud of, is kind of merging my two passions of scouting and Behrend teaching. And what we did last year with Balaji's blessing was we set up kind of a pilot program where we offered 3 business-oriented merit badges. Merit badges. We offered entrepreneurship, personal management, and American business. We had 50 scouts come on that day. And this year, our event is going to be on May 30th. We have not actually gone live with the information to the public yet. That will occur next Thursday when the local council, the local French Street Council for Boy Scouts disseminates their information. We're using a website to take the registration intake for that. We're expecting roughly 200 scouts, 250 scouts for this event. And instead of 3 merit badges, we are offering 15 merit badges across the university. We're bringing in chemistry, we're bringing in composite materials, bringing in astronomy. We're trying to highlight some of the strengths of Behrend in general, as well as the strengths of our business school, as well as introduce the Scout to the concept that professors aren't that scary. We're nice people. And so we wanted to kind of do all of that at the same time. The Scout office has been receiving a very large amount of calls for the last 3 weeks with people that have already heard rumors that we're doing this and they're waiting to register. And I just received an email last night from a lady just north of Pittsburgh that heard through the rumor mill that we were doing this, wanted information on when and what. So there's a lot of built-up demand behind this. We're really excited to offer this outreach effort. And with that, I will turn it over to Jeff. He can talk about a few other outreach items that he's been working with.
I'm Jeff Coy. Before I get started, I'd like to echo Eric's strategy on his investment challenge to his students. As somebody that started his undergrad degree in the mid-late 90s and first got into investing during the internet bubble, it's extremely important to fail at first to learn. Fortunately for me, I didn't have a lot of money at the time, so I failed miserably, but it's a great learning tool to fail at first. At first, while I was in that undergraduate program in the late 90s, I was fortunate enough to spend some time volunteering with the Jacksonville, Florida chapter of Junior Achievement. And I wasn't familiar with them at the time, so when I had the opportunity to volunteer with them and teach as 5th graders at the time some business concepts, I really understood from my own experience in high school that I was offered an opportunity to take an accounting elective in high school. And that was it. There was no other business opportunities for electives and things in high school. So I found it a very valuable tool to introduce some of the business concepts to students before they got to the college level, so they had some introductions to it. So when I had the opportunity to, again, join forces with Junior Achievement here at Behrend, I jumped on it. We did what's called the Titan Outreach Program through Junior Achievement. This happened last week on Wednesday. We had roughly 80 high school students from various high schools in the area come out. We taught them some business concepts along with many of our top students that belong to our FMA organization here on campus. And we taught them some business concepts in 6 major areas. And then what they did was they got together in teams and they competed in this Titan business simulation where they acted as CEOs for a company. This Titan simulation was formed by Junior Achievement and the Best Buy Corporation. They got together and they created this Titan simulation. So the students acted as CEOs. They made quarterly decisions over a number of quarters throughout a few hours during the competition, and they had to make decisions based on what price they were going to charge for the product, how much they were going to produce, what they were going to spend on their R&D, what they were going to spend on their marketing, their capital investment to promote growth, and a new component that was added in the last couple of years, charitable contributions, so which is extremely important for corporations as well. So it was pretty successful. It was the first one that we had done. I had a meeting with Junior Achievement yesterday, and we plan to move forward with this. Our original plan was to do it once a year. As we got talking yesterday and some of the demand that they got, we haven't discussed this yet, but it's possible we may do this every semester. So we might be getting to do this a couple times a year. It's a big benefit for the students because they get some exposure to business concepts that they otherwise would not get in high school. And it's a big bonus for us too, because we get to showcase the wonderful facilities we have here. They get to meet some of the students, they get to talk to some of our students, they get to meet me, and they get to meet some other people here on campus. They get to walk around the College of Business here, the School of Business here, and they get to see some of our facilities. And hopefully that will encourage some of them to join our family upon graduation. Another outreach program that we have going on, we're going to do this summer, is going to be a week-long program. Brian and Tim and I are all going to be included on this. We're going to bring some high school students out, and we're going to, each one of us is going to spend a day with these students, teaching them some business concepts as well. Buying and selling stock, concept of diversification, the importance of analyzing risk versus return. We also want to discuss with them some possible career opportunities that they could have in finance. And then at the end of the summer, they're going to do a stock track challenge, or during the summer, they're going to do a stock track challenge. And at the end of the summer, we're going to have an award ceremony, and we're going to give away prizes and show what everybody did and how they did it, and try to come up with some discussion on what their strategies were and what they learned from the process. Those are our outreach programs that we have going on, and we're always willing and able to listen to other outreach programs because we believe them to be extremely important, not only for the students, but for us here at the Black School of Business. Do we have questions for me for outreach programs, or any questions for Eric for the investment challenge? Yes.
How do you reach the students? I saw that like 15 to 18, because my son is like 13 right now, so I was wondering whether.
The first one that we did last week, the Titan program, this was the Junior Achievement reached out to the high school students. Some of them they knew, they talked to some teachers in the schools, they talked to guidance counselors, they got some of the students involved. As far as the summer, we have an outreach on an office here for Penn State Behrend that specifically deals in outreach programs for students, not just in the School of Business, but campus-wide. And they've put together a few different programs. This is just one of the programs that they have on their schedule. They have other programs from some of the other areas, disciplines here on campus, and they are responsible for reaching out to getting the students involved. So if you want to have somebody get involved, I can put you in contact with the person that's in charge over there, and she knows exactly how they reach out and who they reach out to.
Okay, so they basically go to the high school for the last one, right?
I'm not sure if they actually went out to the high school, or if they contacted, or if this is the teachers and guidance counselors that they knew there. I'd have to get some more information on that. I can put you in touch with Sonia. She knows exactly how they reach out to them, because they do it not just for this program, but for all the programs that they have on the plate.
Okay.
For JA, we had 8 high schools.
Oh.
Thinking out loud right now a little bit, I've run a couple stock market games around the area here, and it always gets students really enthused. And I've got letters from parents that have said, "Hey," I remember when it was like, my son used to want to be a pro athlete, now he wants to be a financial thank you, type thing. So I'm wondering, like, if you're getting engagement from these high school students, we're obviously trying to drive traffic to Penn State here. I wonder if you've ever thought about anything like having some of the finance majors, like helping run local stock market games, because the one student that said, hey, I did it in high school, I didn't really learn anything about it. I could echo that. I was typing in random letters, or like you said, here's the stocks that I like. I wonder if there's like a community service out that we could offer to students or something like that. And if you get like people that are juniors and seniors enthused about Penn State, they're more likely to go there.
I'm gonna take the question, Aaron, because that's a great question. So over the past couple of years, last year and this year, our FMA chapter has built up to the point where we are ready to start supporting some of those initiatives, really mentoring programs. So one of the things that we're looking at with the Financial Management Association chapter is the meetings have now shifted towards the evenings, and we're wanting to reach out to these area high schools and invite these students who may have an interest in this area to come to our meetings, because we've had some fantastic speakers, some in this room, in fact, to our chapter, and with that, all four of you have spoken, four advisory board members, and tried to pull in some of these high school organizations as well. And we've been building those relationships and bridges through some of these outreach programs, so we do have the infrastructure to start making that happen. So it is on the docket, so it's a great idea. Anything else? Okay, now you all have been so patient. I know we've been going all morning long. So what we're going to do is now Aaron Philbeck is back in the back. Aaron he's going to be doing a presentation. He is currently serving as the president of the Student Management Fund. He also was our previous president for the Financial Management Association. And he is going to give you a tour of our Bloomberg terminal. We are one of two schools in the Penn State system that have a Bloomberg terminal. We're very proud of it. And we also run the Bloomberg aptitude test twice per semester. And I don't know if you're familiar with this or not, but it's something that students all over the world have the ability to take where their university has a Bloomberg terminal. We also offer 4 certificate programs through Bloomberg, and just being able to have access to that financial knowledge. Just to give you some sense of the success for our students, I'll give you one example. Last April, Brian Sealander, a finance major who's now finishing up with an MBA, scored 3rd in the world on the April administration of the Bloomberg aptitude test. Gives you some sense of the bright students we're working with. So and then if you need to take a restroom break, so Aaron's going to lead you down to Bloomberg, show you the terminal, and if you want to use the restroom or whatnot, we'll come back here and start in between 15 and 20 after. So thank you. So
Is there a screen or is it like just at the cafe there?
We'll actually get down by there.
Okay.
So. Perfect. Thank you. Everybody on the phone, we're going to be back in about 15 minutes.
All right, thank you, Rick. Thank you.
So you don't want to go to the bathroom?
No, she just had a couple of slides.
Hey, Kevin. Okay.
Yeah. Right. How are you?
Hey, Kevin.
Yep.
We're on break.
Awesome job, everybody.
I just saw Aaron on the way out.
Oh, I'm tired.
Always even better, even better.
Hey, Kevin.
Hey, Kevin.
Good, how are you?
Good.
Greg, is that Jim Powell?
This is Jim Powell. Yeah. She's at FMC. She graduated in 2007, and then she came back and got her MBA. So she was one of the top scorers on the ETS test. And so she has helped us in a couple instances over at FMC, and she's great. So
She,
that's the ETS, the graduate, the test that they have to take before graduation. Before they
she works for one of my best friends. Right in Chicago. Yeah, he works for, he's a big shot at FMC Technology.
Oh, he knows Janice.
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, yeah.
Oh, is that?
Yeah.
She said she works with oil and gas industry.
Yes.
Yeah. So they make valves that monitor oil flow. And
But I don't know.
they're doing awesome because right now about 3 to 4% of world oil production is stolen. People tap in the pipeline. Right. So they make these valves that show whether your flow is what it's supposed to be or not. Okay, and if it's not, you go find out who's stealing your product.
Yeah, so that'd be a good conversation to have. with Jeremy.
Anywhere in the world, that is stopping that can be a challenge. It's mostly Eastern Europe and the Middle East. Yeah. What's happening?
Not too much. Still waiting on that other research. Not too much.
Have you guys met Kevin?
I have.
Okay, Kevin's been taking over from Behrend as a lead for the national.
That's it.
Still waiting on that, huh?
Yeah. Christina said that he was going to email me last time.
But soon next month. Oh, okay. He's gonna be great.
Yeah.
Not good.
So many people.
Yeah.
Well, you've got, then I'll switch. Yeah, because I looked at it, you've got valuation.
Yeah, I upload that. And, we're just gonna go over the PowerPoint one more time. I don't know why. It should be really good. The research I thought you were still on the one that was selling. So we didn't know that. So yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's probably something to just kind of look at.
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah.
I mean, the stock shot up. I don't remember what the valuation was, 110 or something, 113?
Yeah, I think it's around that.
And the stock was there.
Got out probably when they got the divisions came out.
Yeah. But mid-February, so
Yeah,
you could go back there. Just as easily.
exactly.
You don't know how to operate these things. I'm trying to check the tape, so I'm putting in a new one.
What's up from glasses?
I know, I'm sitting there blurring a little bit.
Kevin, you back there. Let's go see if you can find the check box.
E-check's on the top, but I'm not sure how to do it,
Yeah.
you know? Huh? Okay, and then it'll pop up by itself. I guess, it's supposed to. It was easy for him. But you gotta put off. And then have to change it. Oh. Play.
Figure it out.
No. Can you see what you can do? I don't know how to,
Where's Josh?
well, and he's actually, I'm gonna see, he's over in the learning center. They were gonna charge $500 if they did all this stuff during the day, so I said.
I got it. Greg?
Okay.
Yeah.
They come out?
Yeah.
Oh. Next.
Did something.
If something came out, that's all, okay, perfect. So,
That's how it works.
okay, so that.
Hi,
Hi there.
you must be Jen.
Yes,
That's him.
nice to meet you too.
You work with some of my good friends.
I hear that. Yes, how do you know Frederick?
Back before there was FNC Tech, we worked for FNC.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do.
Oh,
When I was
Texting
at
your
World Trade,
Okay.
we used to talk about that.
Okay, yes.
Oh, you're fine, you're fine.
He's in Germany now.
Yeah,
And he's in Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you mentioned your name was. And that's what
Yeah, I had, they're hard to say. Third and places.
And I know that.
They're actually up in Brad's, award. Because the Richard Church got a certain amount and Brad got a certain amount.
Yeah.
And so Brad had 3 years, but they decided to up his, like, 300 or something. Yeah, and they're actually getting ready to, they're gonna release it.
I mean, I've been watching all the emails. I mean, he's the Well, they were actually discussing, because I've been happy on those emails. They were probably, last night about how they're gonna release information. So they're either gonna use today or next
I'm looking
month.
at how you and
So they'll know.
so
So we'll keep it within the room, but they'll probably spread it out. So. Yeah. That's true.
Yeah, he calls me about this all the time. It's like 5 in the afternoon. And I'm like, what are you doing?
Oh, yeah, you're right. They made it to the final. They were the top team out of the 4 environments.
You too. Yeah, definitely mention. Tell him I said hi. I don't talk to him. I left Chicago 2000.
Okay. Yeah, I still like talking to some friends, so.
No. He was in Chicago. He left there. I believe he was and then we went to Norway for a while. With his wife.
Okay, yeah, we have a sister in Norway also. So, but all the time, so we can see.
Yep.
Still within the 5 years, so.
Yeah, I can't imagine. It must be there 20 years.
I've been never involved with that, but I know about it. Accomplishment in that stuff.
He says it's incredibly prosperous.
Yeah.
There's such a small population, but all that oil and gas.
Yeah, that's been a rough market lately though.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of businesses have been, with us. I mean, well, we went through our entire budget process, and it was cool, you know, we did about 6 months of budget process, and then they had us do another budget. And then they had us do another budget. I think we finally said the 4th round of budget. Based on like $45.
Is that what?
We did quite a few scenarios. We did, originally we did it in the bed, and then they said, no, we did it in $60 a barrel. And we said, they want our forecast to be lower than that, so. Yeah, it's been rough.
We can start it in 2 minutes.
I've never seen those, so yeah, for sure. That'd be interesting to see.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and it,
Yeah, the parking garage felt great. I
Except
was-
what, school district. Is it?
It's
School district.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know it's got
color, that's color.
when it's snowing Tuesday and 64 degrees on Thursday. It's kind of hard.
Well, I'm hot natured. I'm always hot.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But obviously,
Because the reason why I asked is because, you know, I was doing the.
Aaron, did that go okay?
And I always tell
Yeah, I mean,
my kids,
right through this.
every time we turn around, it's making.
Oh, yeah,
I would
they-
like him to get acquainted to the
Yeah.
experience. Yeah. I
Yes.
appreciate it.
Oh.
I don't know whether he wants to go to finance this round.
13, yeah. As soon as you get them, then that's the road. Yeah. That's great. Yeah, that's great. And that's your youngest, oldest?
He is my oldest.
Your
Then I
oldest,
have a 6th grader.
Okay, we'll be getting started in 1 minute. In 1 minute.
Oh, okay. Good for them. Good for them. Yeah, they got a good background.
Oh, yeah.
Give or take 10
I need
seconds.
to say, start at the state.
Yeah.
You did, some research on that.
Yeah. Pardon me? From this. Yeah.
Okay, welcome back. We should, if you're with us there on the phone, we're going to get started again. The feed should be continuing, and we're recording again. So the next segment we're going to look at for the next 15 minutes is in the area of faculty research and productivity from a scholarly standpoint. And Jessica and Brian will tag team on that presentation.
Hi, I'm Jessica Bell, Associate Professor of Finance, and Brian and I will be talking about the faculty research for the next 15 minutes. All right. As part of Penn State, actually, we have a huge advantages because we share the same databases at University Park. So the databases that we have is like, we have a Walton database, and also we share the same library. So if you simply just go online using the same Penn State system, the ID and the logon, you will see all those resources which are available to all Penn State. This is, I think we are the only one who has the same, we share the same databases over the university system. Like previously, what I've had is University of Buffalo, it is part of the SUNY system. However, University of Buffalo purchases its own databases. Some of the databases are very, very expensive. For example, like the TAC database we have from the Walton database, it was actually like $50,000 per year, for the subscription fee. So it is, within the Penn State system. However, we are actually sharing all those, as long as University Park purchase that, the whole Penn State system will have access to it, okay? In a minute, what I'm going to show you next is part of these databases. I made some screenshots. This is our library system. As you can see that it is alphabetic, like this, and just resources beginning with A, just like that. So you can imagine how many, I lost count, how many databases were available from our library system. And in the next slide is what is the Walton database that we have available. As you can see, this is the current, on the left-hand side, this is the current subscription we currently subscribe. So if any of the Penn State system, like faculty, purchase the database for a particular year, every Penn State faculty will be sharing those databases. Like previously, a couple of years ago, Brad had purchased a database through his research fund. What happens is the whole Penn State system has access to it. Okay, so we have this huge advantages over the Penn State system. And actually, I was in the search committee for accounting faculty this year, just this semester. Actually, one of the biggest reasons why she came to Behrend is because the database that we have available through Penn State. And then for Behrend, actually, we have a very good research environment as a teamwork and co-authorship. For example, we have all kinds of different papers within this discipline of finance. Like Greg and I, Brian, we have all been working together. Hunter, who was the previous faculty before Tim, and we had several working papers as well, and one got published, and as you can see. And also we have a lot of research work across different disciplines. For example, we have been working with the faculty from accounting, management, MS, econ, and so on. We have been working all across all different areas. And then our research papers are from all kinds of different categories, such as like pure academic papers, practical papers, and also pedagogical papers as well. The research this year, I happen to be the AFAR committee chair. AFAR is the annual review committee, so I know the research output for all faculties across our business school. I'm not going to blow our but I'm going to go ahead anyway. Okay. As you can see in our packet, there is the package which has our faculty's vita. The thickest one is our vita over there, and the first one is Greg Gilbert. As you can see, his vita is about like 15 pages long. And
21.
21. Okay, and then I counted his books. He has 8 books so far, and then I started to count his journal publications. And I lost track after I counted like 70. So like past a couple of days, I have been contacting Amanda, our staff assistant, say, okay, do you know how many journal publications Greg has? And she simply said, a lot. She said she didn't count it either. So I asked her, so would you be kind enough to count it? And now she counted, actually put in his resume, as you can see, is actually 79 publications, just journal publications. So it is, seriously, it's a very, our finance program, research output is a star of the business school. Like Brian has about like 20 publications, I have about 30-something publications, and our new junior faculty, which who we hired last year, Tim and Jeff both has 4 or 5 publications and quite a few working papers under pipeline. So our research output is really excels in School of Business. And in addition to that, we have been doing research with the students. Like Aaron can say something about that. He has been working for us as a student worker for research since his freshman year, right? And I hate to say that you didn't do your thesis later on, but obviously we have your full agenda. And then we have been, previously we have been working with the students who are graduating with their honor thesis. 3 or 4 of the students who had, honor thesis with us actually got their paper published later on. And another thing that I want to mention is the research outreach. We have this finance research symposium every year. Like last semester, we have Tim, who's working as who was making a presentation to us. Basically, what we do is we actually do outreach with the local university faculty. So we actually invited about over a dozen of finance or econ, all from all different areas of faculty to attend our research symposium. So we have been, making progress. We have planned to have another one this April, but due to the schedule conflict, we postponed to next semester. So next semester will be like Jeff Coy will be making us a presentation on mergers and acquisitions, and all of you are invited to attend this finance research symposium. And with any questions? Okay, with that, we'll pass it to Brian.
All right. Well, what I thought I'd talk about, we talked a little bit about what you talk about in this 50-minute time slot, and I thought I'd talk about the environment, because I started thinking, basically, I was here since 2000, so I've hired in everyone here, and I started thinking, I wonder if I would have been hired in if I wasn't the first one. So something to think about. But I want to tell you how this is the perfect research environment, because that just doesn't happen everywhere. And of course, it's the right people and the right location and the right support. And so I thought the best way to do that, a lot of you are outside of academia, and so our job actually is not just teaching. It's 50% research, 50% teaching, but in service. The percentages don't really work out. But this is something in every textbook, okay? So we try to really integrate CFA and CFP, practical things, not just academic world. Well, the academic world puts this in every textbook. And I'm sure you've all seen this. It's based on the Evans and Archer study. How many stocks do we diversify came out in the 70s, and it's been built upon. Well, I just want to give you an idea of how we work together and how we think. A study came out in 2002 by Campbell and Melke, some pretty big names in finance and academia world. And they said, well, idiosyncratic risk or individual stock risk has increased significantly over the last 3 decades. So these 3 decades here are the more recent. Again, the study was 2002. And this is the Evans and Archer study. They're basically saying, this study we're about, and this is monthly standard deviation, not annual, but about 10 stocks, you get rid of half your risk. And then as you add more, you need about 30 to 40. Well, Melke and Campbell said, no, you need like 100 to 200. And at that point I said, well, I only want to do this study. And I talked to Greg, I said, that's crazy. Let's do the study. Let's do a really simple study. And let's just take the first stock based on SIC code. So based on the first digit, we'll take the industry leaders. Because, we don't want to hold, we'd rather hold Best Buy than Circuit City, right? More bankruptcy. So just very, very simple. And so we did that, and we compared, and we did that for each. And so we're not randomly selecting, but we're just taking the first stock. And we saw that if you just take, the first stock, the biggest stock, that would be this bar right here. And what we're comparing it from is the overall standard deviation for the Wharton database that she was talking about. And we're subtracting that to see what the overall market is. And you can see by doing it across that, this is actually a very small scale, that you actually can have a very well diversified portfolio just by taking industry leaders, having as few as 8 stocks, okay? And that was fun. And then Jessica came along, and so we said, well, we thought of another thing to do. We said we could spend 2 weeks trying to figure out how to put this, figure out, how to run the statistics, or we could tell Jessica in 2 hours later we'll have our answer. So we went with the 2-hour thing and had Jessica say, hey, we want to do this. And she said, no problem. And so the next day she gave us some results to get started. But basically we did the same thing as Evans and Archie here. But what we did in that study is we said, why track inefficiency? And as I was listening to Tim's presentation, I thought, maybe I should give him the paper. No, but the thing is everybody wants to look at tracking error and wants to track the S&P 500. But the thing is the S&P 500 is very inefficient. I mean, if you think about it, why would it be efficient? It's just math. So people, and it's market value. So we looked at equally valuing stocks, and we actually used the same methodology that Evans and Archie did. And we found that if you just randomly pick stocks across industries, you can have a portfolio as few as 8 stocks with better Sharpe ratios than the S&P 500, better, information ratios and whatnot. So kind of moving along here, what this allows us to do is we have a very high bar of research. If you compare what the requirements are for tenure here compared to other schools like us, it's high. And the great thing is you have a wonderful environment to help you succeed. And I wouldn't have been able to succeed on my own. I needed the help of my colleagues. And the wonderful thing about it is it allows me then to spend more time on things I really want to do and I'm really passionate about. And so I know I have the record for probably the whole Penn State area in terms of longest working papers. But this whole idea of, modern portfolio theory, risk versus return, and CAPM, okay, a very two-dimensional world. And I wanted to add the thought of time. In fact, the reason I started thinking about this is, a lot of this was probably over 10 years ago I started thinking about this. Everybody was talking about, well, you should start reducing equities 10 years before you retire. And then 120 minus age, these simple heuristics, but there's no theory based on it. And all these studies coming out, of course, everyone knows a study that 90% is based on asset allocation. That's what the portfolio performance is. But then you got a heuristic measure. And the problem is, basically, that theory was built not for individuals, but for managing pools of funds. So I kind of looked at the different assumptions, and basically what's different about this thought where I look at utility theory and try to look at an individual's wealth in addition to their time, it's very similar to modern portfolio theory, except here. Modern portfolio theory, we want to increase wealth or greed. We never have enough wealth. But if that was true, why would anybody ever retire? Makes absolutely no sense whatsoever, okay? And the other thing is modern portfolio theory says everybody's the same. But if that was true, everybody's unique, right? So how do we actually advise them for something that's unique? And why do we ignore time, which is the most important thing that we have in life? And in fact, that's where I wanted to focus my research on. And I realized that, when you're dying, when you're at your deathbed, money is meaningless, seeing loved ones at that area. And thinking back when I first would mow lawns for $5 an hour, And so as we go through life, money is more valuable than time at first, right? My nephew came by, had a roll of pennies, he thought I was the richest man in the world, okay? And so at some point in our life, though, we realized that we rely more on our financial wealth we built up to sustain our consumption than our human capital, which would be earnings going forward, okay? And so this idea of human capital was important, but I really wanted to kind of hide my research and get a patent on it. And so I did some articles on human capital because I thought there's absolutely no practical application to this, so it's pretty much useless, but academic world will publish it, so that worked out perfect. But then, here's a graph of a little idea too what's going on here with utility theory. Going back to utility theory, Bernoulli, 300 years ago, diminishing margin of utility wealth. As we have more wealth, it means less to us, but we have yields on this axis. And I remember sitting in the PhD program, what the heck is a yield? What's a yield with satisfaction and dissatisfaction? Yeah, okay, that doesn't help. Okay, well, what's different is, utility theory in the academic and also practitioners, it's based on some mathematical formula that seems to have the right properties, okay? But what does that mean, okay? Well, I came up with this, what basically is taking, solving for T in a time value money function and multiplying by consumption. And I said utility is basically what every goal of every individual is in retirement, is they don't want just time in retirement or just wealth, but they want time and consumption, right? It's a trade-off. And so what is on this axis here is the trade-off of time and consumption. And you want to optimize both, okay? So we're not just maximizing wealth, but we're trying to optimize consumption and time. And when I do that, I then find the inflection point, and I define what's called the critical wealth. So there's a mathematical formula for that inflection point, and that's what I call critical wealth. And now what I do with that is I take that, I'm gonna actually skip this, and I develop an asset allocation schedule based on that reference point of critical wealth and retirement goal, which can be determined based on goal-based, whatever type of unique way you want to define what the retirement goal is. And so you're not just looking at time as you go through retirement, especially in volatile markets. You're looking at the level of wealth, and then you're adjusting the allocation. So for example, let's say that my consumption is increasing, and you can see the critical wealth increases as your retirement goal increases. And your asset allocation then is going to be based, this is equities, this is the other one is fixed income. It's going to be based on your relationship to your wealth to the critical wealth and retirement goal wealth. Okay, and the other thing is it's not a linear reduction in risk. 120 minus age, that simple sort of heuristic that's often used is linear, which doesn't make any sense because almost every economic model is, or finance model for that matter, is based on something that's non-linear. So the other thing I did then is I used Monte Carlo simulation to say, well, that's nice, it sounds good, but what would happen if you actually did it? A lot of times when people use Monte Carlo, they like to look at the tail end. But what I want to show is that it actually stochastically dominates, which means at every level, you will have a higher return. And it's approximately about 10 to 12%, depending on the parameters of what you use. In terms of ending wealth 30 years after retirement. So in this particular one, I'm looking at the legacy wealth, the family wealth, whatever you want to call it, in terms of generating that. And then looking at just the blowing up the tail end of that distribution, looking at across it, well, if 13% is it's worth using this critical wealth, so basing your asset allocations based on critical wealth rather than some simple heuristic strategy for doing it. So again, this is strategic asset allocation, not tactical asset allocation. But I think everybody kind of agrees that you need to reduce equities and move on. And then I did some other things with annuities that brings up higher wealth. But that gives you sort of an idea of how a professor thinks. I don't know. And I thought there's so many people in wealth management, so many people in financial services here. And I looked at the advisory boards, I thought, what can I talk about? So hopefully that was of interest to you. Any questions or comments about research?
You would have hired.
Did it work for you? Yeah.
Thank you, guys. Okay, and next, we are going to have a presentation about student management. Yeah. So if you guys go ahead and introduce yourself and talk about your future plans if you are what you're going to be doing coming up. Yes. Okay. Okay. Go ahead.
Well, hello guys, again. My name is Aaron Filbeck. I'm the President and Chief Investment Strategist of the Insurance Student Managed Fund. We have Justin Staub, who is our Senior Vice President of Financial Reporting, and then Kevin Pascal, who is our lead analyst, he's our lead analyst of the healthcare sector, and he's going to be my replacement coming up in the fall as president. So, to start off, I just wanted to give you guys our most recent performance for the first quarter of the year. So our portfolio was up 3.44%, which outperformed our benchmark return of 1.65% and the S&P 500 return of 0.88%. So, good news. Next, I want to talk about our quarterly report, which we are working on now. We are trying to increase the number of deliverables that we are giving to biology and the rest of the business school. So these quarterly reports are basically detailing our fund performance as a whole, and then we're breaking it down by sector, and we're talking about how each of the sectors did, where the strengths and weaknesses of our stocks are, and then any ideas moving forward that we want to detail. So it gives us a good idea of how we're doing and what we should be doing in the future, and it gives you guys something to read. It's super long, it's usually about 18 pages, so that's pretty awesome. Most recently, we've been improving our valuation metrics, which is due to Dr. Krause coming in. He's a stickler for quantitative analysis. So all of our stock decisions are based on fundamental analysis, such as discounted cash flows, dividend discount models, etc. So some of the stuff that we're learning in our Finance 301 and 420 classes of investments with Professor Robbins, we're carrying over into 461 for our decisions when it comes to buying and selling our stocks. So then some of the other initiatives that we've taken on this spring and the fall is that we had a price tracking sheet, which we implemented in the fall, which is basically a list of all of our holdings. We wanted to assign the holdings that we currently have with price targets, so that way we don't have any surprises when something magically tanks that's super overvalued. So that's been an initiative, and then in the spring, Justin has basically taken that price sheet and just made it awesome and expanded upon it. So he's going to talk about that a little bit later. Cool. So I already mentioned we have a heavy focus on valuation. So we're looking at our companies that we're looking at their spreadsheets, earnings reports. These students in the 461 class are listening to earnings calls. And then we're projecting our company growth rates based on the industry or the company itself. So we're really getting into the companies that we're looking at the financial statements, making sure that we're doing our due diligence on the companies that we're selecting. We don't want to just say, oh, I like this stock, let's buy it. So that's kind of the initiative that we've been taking on. So again, fundamental analysis, we're looking at discounted cash flows, dividend discount models, free cash flow to equity, those kind of models. And then we also have our industry comparables, where we're looking at the industry ratios, such as PE, earnings per share, relative to the industry standards. And then I know Dr. Krause already mentioned that we have an internal benchmark of 8% appreciation potential. So most of the stocks that we're pitching are far beyond that, but that's our minimum benchmark. And then some of the sources that we're using for our evaluation are actually in the Penn State libraries that Dr. Zhao mentioned. So there's Value Line, which is basically a summary sheet of the company's statements. And then we have Thompson One, which gives us the industry comparables, such as the ratios and stuff compared to the industry median. So with that, okay. So lastly, we are also increasing our initiative on looking at the economy as a whole. So I'm working with the two officers for market analysis, and we're taking a look at where the business cycle is, and then we're making decisions kind of where we should be as far as sector allocation. So it's not something that we are heavily doing at the moment. We're trying to pick the best stocks at the current moment, but it's something that we should keep in mind. So when I came in, we had like our industrials at 20%, when the S&P was only 10%. And that was just due to selecting stocks and not really paying attention to the weighting. So that's something that's going to be hopefully carried forward with Kevin as president. And I'm going to turn it over to Justin, who's going to talk about the price target.
Awesome. Thank you, Aaron. So last semester I was a lead analyst for the fund, and at the same time I was taking the business intelligence course. I'm a dual major in finance and MIS. And I was really looking at this quantitative analysis that Dr. Charles was having us implement. And I found that the price target sheet, which has our price targets that we're doing evaluations on, improved a lot. So one of the things that we were able to improve is we have these price targets, but in order to get the current price of the stock, you have to go online to find these. So I was able to embed macro into Excel that if you hit a refresh button, then it sends all the stock papers to Yahoo, and in return we get all the current prices instantly. So that was a really big improvement. Further, the things I've learned in business intelligence class, we do a lot with automated reports. So the whole idea of these reports was really throwing active management into the fund. So implementing these Excel macros, and when you pull up the sheet, look at the price targets, the current price, and the predictions to that price target. More importantly, these reports. So one of them that we've implemented this semester is a weekly report. And using software such as Crystal Reports, Microsoft Access, Microsoft Excel with Digital Cut, every week on Friday when the stock market is closed, all of the lead analysts get a report from their sector. And it's for all the stocks get broken down. So you can kind of see an example here. And this is for technology. Only the stocks in the technology fund are shown here. It's pulling in information from that Excel sheet, and it gives some metrics on the bottom. And it really well active management. Well, benchmarking each sector by select sector ETF for the S&P 500. So not only is it broken down by sector, but you get a benchmark of how well that sector did in the S&P. The idea of this is it's not automated yet, but by the time I graduate soon, the reports should be fully automated. So we use a visual cut so that every week the computer recognizes it's time to check the updated prices and sends out these reports via email to the lead analyst without any interaction. The only interaction that would be required is to keep the Excel sheet updated by plugging in the evaluations. And then future reports, I just finished one a couple days ago. It's the sector weight report. So I think this Friday we're actually going to send it out, and it takes all of the sectors and breaks down this weight of each sector in the fund and kind of puts in the table so you can look at the region, what we would like in each sector. The ratings, if we want basically 30% rate in fund and 6%, we have to explore that rating down in the future. And the whole idea of this is, I think I laid a really good foundation for these reports, but I really like someone coming after me and continue to improve on the reports. I think there's a lot more that can be done quarterly, exception-based reports where if a price reaches the price target, visual cut can be activated automatically and send out an email to the lead analyst. So there's a lot more that we can improve. This is an example of the price target sheet. I've added some conditional highlighting on the current appreciation, but it's this column right here is where the magic happens on the Excel sheet, and that's where I hit the refresh button and all of this current prices come back.
So I'm going to talk to you about our research notes that we do in our class. As far as what they are, they're basically written stock pitch of what we do each Friday this semester as a group. We pitch stock. So this is more so to document our reasoning, ideas and thoughts behind the stock, why we like it. It's just really, as Aaron said, we've made a lot of changes to student ed fund. So we're taking it more in the direction of documenting. So if someone wants to look at a stock, like pulled it up on the price target sheet and want to look at it, because maybe it says that it's overvalued now, so they can go back in, they can look up the research note and kind of read about what people said as far as why they like the stock at that time. So if someone wants to go back to do an evaluation of it in order to justify keeping the fund, we can do that. But the research notes are really just to articulate what the students are finding in the stock when they're doing all the evaluations, going through the progress and stuff like that. So this is an example of what our research notes look like. Just kind of broken down into each part and really kind of simple to the point. Really, if you can read through it, you should really have a pretty good idea of what each person was thinking when they were valuing the stock and reading about that. Is there anything else you want?
Any questions?
So I'm super impressed. Really impressed. The sheets that you made are just fantastic. And that's something that's like a dream of mine to create. It's really, I know it takes a lot of time to do that. And I'll just say, like, the performance numbers you guys have achieved are phenomenal. I mean, I realized last year, I think it was just a really tough year to make money. It was a tough year. Index funds have outperformed actively managed the last couple of years. So you guys in 2013, the goals you did was just amazing. And you're beating most of the hedge fund community and everything, people that do this, full time. That's all they do. So I think you guys will see that benefit of the research a lot. You have a year that's not so linear straight up. When you actually have another 2001, let's say, or something like that, you guys will probably do pretty well compared to your index. So.
Yeah, I really want to commend the students both this semester and last semester for all the hard work they've put in. It's been really impressive to me. A couple things I didn't mention in my talk. Quarterly reports we're putting out are not quarterly. Previously, they came out once a semester, and it's a lot of work. Aaron can attest to that. I'm working on getting a replacement for Justin. I'm working with Professor Lassell, who's the advisor to the MIS Club, to keep that going. And the other thing if you have any suggestions, as you take a look at the quarterly report or research notes, we went to, I mentioned the investment competition we went to last week. I was amazed, obviously I'm a numbers person. I want evaluations for everything. I think we were all sort of amazed by the winning presentations. Didn't have a lot of numbers. They were all about strategy and competitive position in the industry. Some of them were very weak on the valuation part. So I'm actually rearranging my curriculum a little bit to focus a little more, just so we can keep. Obviously, I want the performance. That's the bottom line goal. But I'm not a competitive strategy person, so I have a lot of work to do with something like that. And I'm going to try to integrate it more closely with the CFA. You guys did a lot of that stuff. So I'll learn from you. That was all.
Any other questions for the presenters from Student Match Fund? And just briefly.
Yeah. I had a question, Greg.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was wondering if the students could talk a little bit about what type of work they do to understand the industry and what role this kind of cash flow has in their evaluation process.
Okay.
Well, we use sources such as In This World when it comes to industry growth and outlook up in the future. So In This World gives you kind of a 5-year projection. So our time horizon usually for our investment thesis is about a year. So that works out for us. But as far as how it affects cash flow, what do you mean by that?
Discounted cash flow.
Discounted cash flow.
Just wanted to know what, like, are you going back and also projecting companies' earnings forward that are in your stock picks and using a discounted cash flow method to double check if your valuation assumptions are correct?
No, not necessarily. We're focusing more on stock price. So we're not really doing any projection with earnings, but that's something that we can incorporate in the future.
I'll jump in and say, to date, because we've had so many stocks to evaluate, basically the students have been using third-party sources like Value Line and Thompson One for their discounted cash flow models. But actually, this week in Finance 461, we're actually forecasting some growth rates from scratch, which I'll incorporate going forward, but to date it's mainly been third-party sources.
And Bruce, just to jump in on this right now, so you'll see this in the 461. We incorporate discounted cash flow analysis in Finance 451. And in fact, we've got not the next presentation, but the following presentation after that, I've got a student that's going to come in and talk about the use of that. Also, discounted cash flow analysis in the next presentation is used from a valuation standpoint for again, from the standpoint of a company valuation. So both private and public. So you can get the public next and then private after that as part of the investment research challenge. So they will be able to talk to you a little bit about their framework as well.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions? You guys briefly want to talk about your future plans? Aaron, you want to start?
Well, we have Kevin who's taking over as president.
Your professional plans. You all introduce yourselves and tell what you're doing.
Oh, future plan. Oh, okay. So I accepted a job in Columbus as an investment analyst at the Joseph Group Capital Management. So that's what we're going to be going in July.
And Aaron is a level 1 CFA candidate. Justin?
I'm a finance analyst. Like I said, I'm still job interviewing currently. To get a job interview as well, so it's not good for me.
Okay.
Finance major. I'll be graduating in December. Process right now, so
And are you looking at the CFA exam next year?
Yes.
Okay. So again, those of you on the advisory board, so you hear one person with a job, one person looking for a job, one person who'll be graduating next year. Anything you can do contact-wise, again, we got a whole array of impressive students that are going to be coming your way over the next hour. So they'll fit for you guys. So anything else for these guys? Okay. So next group that's going to be up is the Investment Research Challenge team. So they're going to be doing a presentation based on their evaluation of black box. And if you guys can introduce yourself as well and talk about a little bit about what you're doing or will be doing going forward.
All right. Good morning, everyone. I'm Josh McClear, the team captain of the Investment Research Challenge team. We had a really great time evaluating the black box and really learned a lot about how to in-depth evaluate a company. Black box was kind of a perfect storm of every problem that could possibly occur in evaluating a company. So we had to really do a lot of research and really stretch. We've been talking to both our professors and just doing a lot of reading on our own about the best ways to go about doing this. From a personal note, as I said, was the team captain of the IRC. I'm the president of the FMA. I'm going to be graduating in December with a degree in finance. I'm really working towards a more quantitative background. My goal is to go on to get a master's degree in quantitative finance or financial engineering, and then go on from there to eventually work as a quant in the financial markets. This is Andrew Gillespie. You want to say a bit about yourself?
Like you said, I'm Andrew Gillespie. I'm a junior. I'll be graduating next May. I'm leaning towards financial analysis. I've been on the corporate side. I'll be interning with EY this summer in Munich for 4 months.
I'm Connor Chadwick. I'm currently a senior, majoring in finance, minoring in economics. I'm still looking for jobs. I'm kind of leaning towards corporate finance compared to investments, but I think my skills in both are pretty well set.
I'm Robert Tree. I also have an offer to go to EY and Palo under Behrend for 4 months, and I'm considering the opportunity or pursuing possibilities of returning to the United States and pursuing full-time employment here in the United States. And I'll also still interview elsewhere.
I'm Brad Crawford. I'm a senior accounting and finance major. Still looking for employment. More on the finance side of it.
And again, we've got 2 CFA level 1 candidates. Identify yourself.
I'm a CFA level 1 candidate as well.
All right, so for the Investment Research Challenge team, we were assigned black box to evaluate. And we think by evaluation, black box has had a lot of problems in the past 5 years. They had some shrinkage in their revenue growth, and they had a lot of goodwill depreciation. It's really wreaked havoc on their accounting-based earnings. They've had a lot of intangible write-offs, which has dropped their bottom line, even though their cash flows have remained positive. However, they have had a new management team come in and implement a new strategy that really focuses on their strengths and tries to minimize the weaknesses. So we're projecting a very strong upside for Blackbox. They spent $7 million to completely renovate the way that they do business. And as a result, as you can see, based on all of our evaluations, we came with a final average value of $35.99 for a 1-year projected valuation. Currently, I believe they're trading at $21, so that is a huge upside. There is obviously some risk that we're going to get into. But now Andrew's going to walk you through some of their current strategy and their management team. Andrew?
So like Josh said, we issued this buy recommendation partially based off of 3 key points of Blackbox's corporate structure. First, their long history of quality service, their diversified source of revenue, and their new strategic direction. Blackbox was founded under the name Expander Incorporated in 1976 and has since grown to become a $1 billion company. Blackbox is a communication systems integrator and technology provider dedicated to helping customers design, build, manage, and secure their IT infrastructure. As you can see from the charts, Blackbox receives 87% of its revenue from North America, 81% of their revenue from services, a fourth of their revenue from government contracts, and Blackbox boasts having 80% of Fortune 500 companies listed among their clientele. 2 years ago, Blackbox received a new strategic direction and they named CEO Michael McAndrew. He's now putting in a strategic focus on 3 key areas. They're planning on strengthening and expanding their portfolio of solutions to better meet customers' needs. They plan on using their centralized expertise coupled with local skills and relations to expand into emerging markets. And they've already begun realigning their corporate organization and structure to better meet these strategic goals. Now, Connor will talk about it.
All right, so after doing an in-depth analysis of the industry, we assessed using a quarter-stack versus model. We assessed the IT industry is slightly favorable in profitability. One specific reason for this is because of the threat of substitutes within the industry. It's hard for other companies to implement the products that Blackbox has to offer, and it'd be very costly for them to get the employees needed to better describe their products and help their customers. As you can see from the graph up on the right, coming up in 2015, cloud computing is expected to be one of the most important projects for IT firms. The graph on the left shows that companies are increasing spending specifically in security and cloud computing. 42% for cloud computing, 46% for security. And the fact that these firms are increasing their spending is going to create a huge international opportunity in China. Cloud computing in China is expected to be worth $6 billion in 2017. Currently, the industry is 11 billion right now, so that's more than half coming forward. So as you can see, significant growth potential within this industry in China, and the government is assisting with this through tax costs, and by cutting tax costs and investing more financially into this industry. And then here's just a little breakdown of their core competitors. Cisco, F5, and Juniper. Specifically, Juniper and F5 are both implementing their platforms. And then Cisco is actually planning to acquire, coming up the second quarter here, a company called Needle Hapsis, which is specifically for security. So you can see that they're taking steps forward coming in 2015 to take advantage of these growing opportunities. And now Ryan will further discuss Blackbox's financial analysis.
Yes, sir. Before we get to our in-depth evaluation of Blackbox, first we'll go over a few measures that help come to our final conclusion of our buy recommendation for Blackbox. Specifically, we'll look at Blackbox's current ratio, return on equity, and long-term debt equity. First is Blackbox's current ratio. As you can see from the chart, Blackbox's current ratio is well maintained, above 1 for the past decade, which ensures that the company continually has plenty of current assets to cover any short-term debt obligations. Next is Blackbox's return on equity. From the chart, in 2012 and 2014, Blackbox experienced higher than normal return on equity. This is due to their goodwill impairment write-offs. For our projections, we do not assume that, or we assume that the company will not continue to write off any goodwill, which equates to an uptrend in the return on equity. Lastly is Blackbox's long-term debt and long-term debt equity. Blackbox has taken the initiative to pay off their long-term debt, and compared to their peers, their long-term debt to equity is slightly higher than the industry average. However, this is not alarming to investors because the company is taking the initiative to reduce their long-term debt and become more in line with their peers. Now Josh will talk to you more about the in-depth evaluation of black box.
Thanks, Ryan. All right, so the value black box, we really wanted to dig into what it was worth to investors and just inherently out of the company. So we used 3 different measurements. We used discounted cash flow to show what it was making. We used this kind of dividend model in order to show the tangible return to investors, and we used the relative valuation of enterprise value over EBITDA in order to capture what it's worth relative to its peers. With our discounted cash flow analysis, we really had to dive in to calculate these numbers and project them out. Their debt is privately held. It has a variable interest rate. However, they used a interest rate swap to lock in a fixed rate. That's expiring in June of this year. So to project what it's probably going to be, because we know their cost of debt's going up, everyone knows interest rates are increasing. We looked at LIBOR futures to project a probable interest rate for when they are able to lock in a new fixed rate of interest. To figure out our cost of equity, we use the implied equity risk premium that Dr. Behrend of Stern has come up with, and came up with our final WACC. Once we had our discount rate, we projected cash flows out for the next 5 years for the terminal value, and brought it back to get our final discounted cash flow valuation. Our dividend discount model, they've paid a lot of money out in dividends, but not just in dividends, they've also implemented a huge stock buyback program. As a result, about 3% of their revenue every year has been going towards direct return to investors. Now, I know that typically you use earnings as a way to project this. However, we use revenue because the revenue has been growing steadily while their earnings are all over the place. And their dividends have shown a consistent growth. It's not really tied into earnings. They are just gradually increasing what they're giving back to their investors. So we projected that out for the next 5 years and brought it back with our discount rate to get our final dividend discount valuation. Finally, we looked at our relative valuation because everyone knows that a company isn't just worth what it is in a vacuum. It's worth what it is relative to its peers because every industry is slightly different. Historically, Black Box is kind of lagged behind the competitors in enterprise value over EBITDA. It's been about 2/3 enterprise value over EBITDA relative to their peer group. So what we did is we projected for the next year what this ratio is going to be for all the competitors, looked at what Black Box's enterprise value is, and brought it back for a final valuation. Right, I'm going to go over some of the investment risks and some of the potential upsides for Black Box and finish up our presentation. Right, thanks, Josh.
So for investment risk, we've identified 2 major risks associated with Black Box. One being dependence upon public sector clients, and second being cloud computing. So U.S. federal government IT service expenditures are projected to shrink each year until 2039 to 7% from its 40-year average of 11% of GDP. In addition, it said that federal IT service expenditures reach a 3-5-year plateau of $70 billion, with cuts limiting the future. According to Gartner Inc., cloud computing is projected to grow until it becomes the bulk of new IT service expenditures by 2060. Black Box has historically been a laggard in market trends. We project this trend to continue. They have, as recently as February 12th, announced a joint effort with in-contact solution, which is either a cloud contact center software. But many of the competitors, such as Juniper and F5 Networks, have already implemented cloud strategies in platforms in fiscal 2013. So we're a little bit behind on that. We've identified a number of key potential upsides to Black Box as well. So, for example, revenues by the client size. This shows their diversification among their clients and their adaptability to their platform so they can scale it from large and small clients alike. In addition, 50% of their clients are currently running outdated technologies. So as they boast a 90% return rate among clients, it provides a major opportunity for revenue growth in the coming years. And for our conclusion, we evaluate Black Box using discounted cash flows, dividend discount model, and relative valuation using EV over EBITDA. And we've come to a final 1-year target price of $35.99, which is 65% upside ratio of buy representation. So we'd like to thank you for your time. If you have any questions, we open the floor.
Questions for the IRC team?
I just want to make a comment. You guys are very good research, okay? You've done a very good job in your research. Have you called management, Black Box management? Have you called them to speak to them directly? Sure. Have you called them to,
Josh, can you talk about what the rules of the competition?
Oh, okay.
Absolutely.
And
Well,
then-
the competition has pretty stringent rules. At the very start of it, we were able to ask the executive board whatever we want. They had their CFO and their CEO there to answer questions. So we asked them whatever we wanted. That was right at the beginning. After we had time to really do research, do evaluation, come up with the bulk of our report, we were able to email them 5 questions that they emailed us back answers to. Other than that, we weren't allowed to have any contact with the executive board or the management team.
Okay, now some of you guys are looking for jobs. I mean, why not go see them eye to eye? I mean, especially if who's the one with the finance background. I mean, yeah, I think for you to go in there and see them eye to eye, you know, you got a job. I mean, what are you know, what's holding you back? You know the company better than some of those
I know.
higher executives. Now, what was your answer? I don't know. I didn't hear your answer.
I mean, I haven't even thought about pursuing Blackhawk personally.
Why not?
I don't know. Like, I don't.
There you go. There's a suggestion right there.
Absolutely.
I mean, they say they know as much about the company that they interview with before you interview them. Now, you certainly know a lot about the company.
Yeah.
Why not, you know, is it Pittsburgh? You don't want to work in Pittsburgh or?
Pittsburgh's close. I mean, I think you said Pittsburgh. So I don't honestly, I don't know why that's never came to mind, but they're pretty sound company.
Well, you know, that's.
Spent quite a bit of time with it too, so.
You know the company. Set up an interview. I mean, go down there and knock on the door and don't make a phone call. I mean, just go and knock on the door and ask for the interview. You got to show that initiative sometimes.
Guys, how much time would you say you spent putting all this stuff together? I mean, this started last September. How many hours did you say?
More than I can count.
Yeah.
I probably put more work into this than I put into any of my classes this semester or last year. And I put a lot of work into my classes, so.
Any other questions for these guys?
Has there been any insider buying? Officers and directors, have there been any officers and directors buying stock?
Well, they're getting stock options. They're a big part of their compensation is equity in the company. It kind of ties them back into making sure the company does well.
Right.
So they do have fairly large holdings within the company.
What percent is owned by management?
I don't know off the top of my head. I know that roughly half of it is held by.
70%.
Pardon me?
Looks like 2.16%.
All right, not that large.
Universal compared to 2.95%. Keep it relative.
Would you put your own money into it?
We actually pitched this for the student managed fund. And now the holders in black box.
Any other questions for these guys? Okay, thank you all
I have
very
a
much.
question.
Oh, one more question? Yeah.
I know that primarily everything you guys have done has been on the fundamental analysis side of it. I deal a lot more with the day-to-day sort of activities. So the things that really interest me are volume for the share concentration. I'm looking at Juniper, it looks like 4.8 million shares average, whereas Blackbox is about 52,000. And then also fuel this big interest. The short ratio is about 5 times greater at 10.2 than it is at 2.4% for Juniper. Why do you guys think that is? I'm not looking for a specific answer, but they traded and everyone's shorting it. If there's a potential for $10 upside, what are your thoughts on why this current situation is this?
Black Box is a bit risky right now. They've had a bad couple of years and their earnings are all over the place. So they've had a hard time locking their books down. Right now they're going through a period of change where they're kind of getting all their ducks in a row and getting the company back in order. However, they are strong fundamentally. They've always said positive cash flows. We projected positive cash flows in the future. So I think right now investors are looking at past few years and the historical data and all the volatility that's been in that stock, which right now they've had great, fairly solid returns for the past year. They're obviously moving in the right direction, but it's not proving well enough yet for, I think, a lot of investors to feel completely comfortable in investing in it and really going a long haul with BlackBox.
Okay, no, thank you very much. That's a great answer.
Thank you guys so much.
Good job, guys.
Okay, so next what we're going to do is turn to a discussion of, what's up? Here we go. We're going to talk about the work that's taking place in the corporate finance area, and in particular with a joint project that takes place each semester between the intermediate corporate finance, the plastics engineering, and also the manufacturing engineering classes. So Eric is going to come up and talk a little bit about how the project works. And then Eric and two teammates are finalists for the Erie Insurance Collegiate Innovation Competitions coming up in late April. There are basically less than 10 projects that are going to be considered for that. So I'm going to turn things over to Eric, and I've got as a backdrop, if we want to pull anything up, this was the project that they turned in for their class. So Eric.
Perfect, thank you. Again, my name is Eric Fry. I'm from Seattle, Washington, and I'm really lucky to have students like that here at the school, and it's all thanks to things that you guys do, and the school attracts so many great students, and that's what inspires me to be better. One of my favorite part of being part of the Black School of Business is their philosophy on learning through doing. That's a part of their mission statement, and those have been my favorite parts of being here.
Okay, tell what you're doing right now.
Sure. Yeah, right now, so I'm at GE Transportation. I don't know if you know Anthony Pishotti.
He's on the phone.
Oh, he is. If you saw him asleep, we'll let him get off the bus, or pass. But anyway, so I'm with Anthony right now. I'm doing a lot of interesting projects with him, a lot of hands-on things, really learning and applying what I've learned outside of the classroom, inside the classroom. This summer, I have the great opportunity to be with the company FTI Consulting down in Pittsburgh. Really looking forward to that. I just was off the phone with them this morning, talking about some final details and things like that. So the things that I'm learning inside the classroom have been helpful, but I can't imagine not having projects like this and other projects that have helped me kind of take more of the textbook information and apply it into what I really need to be learning. And so when I go into these places, I'm already able to kind of have a little bit of a leg up, able to learn more about or apply what I've been learning in the classroom. So this project actually started before Dr. Philbeck's class. I had another outside the classroom learning opportunity. I was in Professor Brown's class, where we got to raise money for a charity. We were part of a team. And we just decided to raise money for a charity called Grady's Decision, which helps premature children in the greater Erie area. I don't know if you've heard of them. They're phenomenal. I actually just had lunch with the president of the charity yesterday. I wanted to get his input as we were moving the project forward. So we did that. And then we got to Dr. Philbeck's class. And there's a group of about 10 of us, 4 engineers, or 4 finance people and 6 engineers. And we were trying to come up with a product that people needed. We actually had a gal in our team that was having a premature child at the same time. And so she was actually absent for her first 2 meetings. And so that was already on my mind. And then also my experience with being in Professor Brown class, raising money for this charity. And one thing when I went into the hospitals and visited these families and these premature children, that I found out is that they have to stay in the hospital for a very long time, right? They have, and the reason that they have to, besides receiving like extreme care, is they can't regulate their body heat. And we wanted to be able to solve that problem so that way they could come home earlier, because they have mothers that are working, fathers that are working. Oftentimes premature children are brought into families that don't have a mom or a dad or aren't maybe 100% financially stable according to statistics. And so we wanted to create a device that would allow these families to save money, save time, and start loving their child at home sooner rather than later. And so this is how the thermal care pad came to be. I'll just scroll down a little bit here. We created a company. Our company is called Baby M8, and our slogan is bringing babies home to you. It was a really great project. So we started with this idea, working with engineers for the first time in my life. I worked with an engineer, my dad's an engineer. We get along, we love each other, but of course we had father and son arguments growing up, but it was a great experience. All these engineers were super motivated, and I learned that we think differently. And I think differently too, and not one way is right. It's important to realize that finance isn't always the answer, and engineering is always the answer. You have to come together and really become part of a team, and that's what we're able to do. And I'll scroll down just so you can see a picture. As you can tell, this report is 66 pages, and so that was a really good opportunity. But let me just scroll down to the picture of the product. As you can see here, we did a lot of market research before we decided to engineer the product itself, finding out that there is about each year 500,000 premature babies that are born. And they oftentimes experience times in the hospital of 3 to 6 months. And the primary reason why they stay after the first few weeks is so that way they can be in an incubator where the parents oftentimes can't touch them, and so they can regulate their body and keep up their fat levels. We did industry research as well. We found out that there's no product in the market like this. There are a couple. So let me just go ahead. So this is our initial product design. I have no idea what product program these smart people use to design it, but they did it, and this is what came out. And obviously, we're going to add some color to it, right, when this comes out. But this is our initial model. And so what this is a crib insert. So it's inserted into the baby's crib, and it's a self-regulating encasement that keeps these children's body temperature at exactly what it needs to be. Another complication with bringing a child home is that the baby wants to be held by the mother the entire time because that's like the perfect temperature for these children to be contained at. And so we found out by using certain materials like memory foam that has a similar feel to mother's bosom or something like that, that we're able to regulate this through different temperature gauges and temperature receivers and sensors. And so that's how the thermal care pad was born. And we're really excited about it. So that was last semester. We spent a whole semester with about 6 engineers, learning, growing, thinking about how we could apply what we were learning in class. We did the same sort of analysis that the group before me just talked about. We looked at their ROA, their current ratio, all these different things of our future product, right? Of what we thought, our company would be able to produce. We weren't looking at analyzing the company itself, we were internally analyzing ourselves. And we projected this product to be positive, to be something that we'd like to move forward. We presented this idea to a group similar to yourself, local business owners and passionate about Penn State University, and a number of them seemed extremely interested in the product, involving different SKUs. And so this semester we worked really hard to think about how we could take their constructive criticism and put it into our product. One of them took me out to lunch, and we talked about how we could make this for all parents. And he said, having children, the hardest part is having to have them wake up at night. And his thought was, is that because they're getting cold or because they're uncomfortable? Could this product also be used for the entire market, right? The entire market, so that way your market grows, your customer base grows. And he said, even if my baby sleeps for 10 more minutes a night, I'm going to spend whatever price you sell it at to get this in my home and to put it inside my crib. Do any of you guys have children? Yeah, feel maybe somewhat similar. 10 minutes seemed a bit extreme to me, but if we can ensure through our testing that you got an extra hour of sleep, or the baby woke up one less time throughout the night, then I think we have something quite incredible. Another lady that we talked to, she was passionate about dogs. She loved her dogs. And she said that as her dogs get older or they're younger, they have a hard time regulating the heat. They oftentimes go to the vents. And so her and I talked about making this product for dogs. And we were excited about it because we realized that going into the baby market, there's going to be a lot of resistance, right, as far as regulations go and things like that. And so our initial business plan was just to go straight to the premature child market, kind of thinking inside the classroom, these numbers come from heaven, it'll work, right, because this is what we're doing. But after we've been able to have these discussions with these different business owners, we really realized that it's a long process. We have to have passionate people behind it that are going to move this thing forward. And so our plan now is to start developing this, moving the process along as well, but also trying to build that dog SKU. So we can do some testing with some animals to see how they respond to it as well. So right now, there's a group of, like Dr. Gilbert said, there's 3 of us. One engineering, one of my peers is an engineer, extremely intelligent, phenomenally passionate about the product, and another finance team as well. Again, much more intelligent than I'll ever be, and really grateful to be able to be associated with people like that. And so we're going to, on the 27th, go and present our idea. We became a finalist in this competition, and see what people think about it. I think it's all about learning, right? What can I apply? What things can people give to me, even if they do it in a mean way, and not a polite way? If they tell me my product sucks, if it's a horrible idea, that's okay. Because I'm going to evaluate think maybe it's gonna be that night when I got, full time composure together, maybe that night be a little more humble and realize what can I learn from what that person's trying to tell me. Like I said yesterday, what day did we say? Friday, 2 days ago, I went out to lunch with the president of Raise Decision. He's a good friend of mine. I met him a couple of times. I still volunteer a lot with the charity. And he gave us some good constructive criticism on this product. And I have a phone call later today with a lady who hasn't come up with a product idea, but who's very passionate about moving something like this forward. I'm super grateful for the opportunity that we have to participate in programs like this. I had a lot of my friends from high school. I'm the only one that came to Penn State University, surprisingly, from Seattle. And so I talked to them about their business schools, what they're up to, what are they doing. And some of them have projects like this where they get to work with engineers, but a lot of them are like, why work with engineers? You're a business student. And it's because so that way when we get out in the workforce, we can know what's going on, right? We're not so close-minded and crunching the numbers that we see in the textbook or that we see online. We're able to really apply what we learn. And so now I'd just like to answer any questions you guys have about the product, about my learning opportunities here at Penn State University, the Behrend College, or anything like that. Yeah.
When did you start working on it?
So the product started last semester. So this is a semester-long project. But my passion for this really came about a year ago. So this semester beforehand, where I just did what we did, and I'll tell you just because I'm super excited about it. We raised a little over $1,000, and we made Easter baskets for all the premature babies on Easter in the hospital. And so we found out what they needed. We got gas cards, we got diapers, we got bottle cleaners, we got gift cards to restaurants for these families. And we had one of us, not myself, dressed up as the Easter bunny, and we went in and delivered it Easter morning to all the premature families. And what a cool opportunity that was. And so that's why we're passionate.
And just real quick, so this you all will have a copy in your email of this project along with 2 others. This is a semester-long project. The project reports run 60 to 140 pages when they're done. They do a complete set of pro forma projections. They use this kind of cash flow analysis to determine economic viability based on their determination of growth rates that they can generate relative to industry and macroeconomic events that are taking place. So they do a thorough vetting of their competitors. So they're doing this along with engineering design portion of this as well. So it is truly cross-disciplinary. They learned that the engineers can be more production-focused. Finance, we're thinking, top-down projection of cash flows. It is 20% of the grade across each of the classes that are involved in this. So it's a huge undertaking as a part of a class project, but it does give them the deliverables that they do.
And I laughed and smiled because, the week before the project's due, we were looking really good, everything's going well, and she would say, okay, no big deal, but just thought we'd let you know last week we changed from this product to this product. I'm like, okay, the prices changed? Oh yeah, it's way more expensive. I said, okay, well, we just read all these, spent hours and hours and hours, making all these things. And so really having that learning experience of, it's in a classroom, we're not gambling with millions and millions of dollars or thousands of people's jobs on the line, but being able to have that conversation with an engineer saying, okay, maybe I, as a finance student, need to be better at asking, have you changed the product? Or if you do change something, make sure you let me know. And they need to be a little bit better at saying, hey, we're thinking about changing this. Will this affect our outcome? Will we be able to produce the products?
Yeah, you great presentation, by the way. I was in the first class that did the
you were?
joint project. Yeah,
cool.
It was a nice experience for me as well. Have you ever thought about doing something like Shark Tank eventually?
Shark Tank?
Like that?
Yeah, it's like my favorite show.
Yeah,
I watch it all the time. And so I think that would be great. I think that once we get the feedback from this showcase, we'll get to know a lot of very intelligent people. One of the gentlemen, his name is, his last name is Barrow. He's actually coming to the university to present this week. He talked about wanting to make maybe 30 of them. I'm putting a little bit of investment in and seeing, running a test on it. I think that before you get to Shark Tank, learning from Mr. Wonderful and all those great people.
He would tell you that.
Yeah.
No niche market.
Right, yeah, exactly. Yeah, but making sure that to get to that point, having a test, so at least I'm excited about it.
Absolutely, great charity.
You did? Yeah, he was in the first group of it, I think, too, or towards the beginning.
Yeah, so absolutely.
And to brag on Eric for a moment, there's a subset of the Black School of Business Advisory Board that comes in to these presentations at the end and offer feedback to the students.
Yeah.
So that was the first round of feedback that they received as part of the final presentation. Eric ended up asking them out to lunch and was on lunch with all 6 of them that had come. So he's been very, very, very gregarious in reaching out and getting feedback from industry. So we'll brag on him. Any other questions or comments for Eric?
Yeah, I just have one question for Eric. Eric, you touched very briefly on regulations. Can you expand a little bit about the impact of regulation on both marketing and cost of the product, and how deeper you've got into it so far, or haven't?
Yeah, is that you, Bruce?
Yes.
Yeah, that's Bruce. Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, so we looked into it quite a bit. For the project, less. We've looked into it since the project, the final presentation, more. That's why one of the reasons I wanted to talk with Ryan this week. But there are a lot of regulations. It's a very long road to trudge. We could see it taking a number of years in order for, especially within the NICU, which is where the premature babies are. We haven't done any cost analysis or a cost comparable as to how much time and money this would take. But it'd definitely be a long road. So we're looking at trying to find a road with less, a less resistance, a path of less resistance, to get our initial product out there to see how that feels. Does that answer your question, kind of?
Yeah.
Okay.
Very good. And Eric, you can circle back to me. I have a friend that I've been friends with for a long time. That's an FDA certified engineer.
Okay.
So he's in a little different area, but he could probably help answer some questions about that road as well.
That'd be great. I'll shoot you an email.
Any other comments?
Have you talked to the Penn State Research Foundation about patents?
I haven't. Do you have any experience with that? Or?
The engineers had to do a patent search before they
Yes.
they had to go through a preliminary pitch before that occurred, and then that is certainly a viable idea.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, they're very helpful. Yeah, I have a patent with them.
Okay,
So,
great.
Yeah.
I'll look into that. Thank you.
Any other comments?
Have you taken this to the local doctors at Hammond, St. Vincent, and Cleveland Clinic?
Nope, but we have talked to the nurses, which we feel are kind of like the ones that are most passionate about it and will be able to tell us. We went through it and talked to each of them, not each of them, that would be a lot. We talked to probably a dozen of them and expressed to them what our thoughts were, and they all thought it was a good idea. But as far as doctors, we haven't talked too much.
Eric, thank you
Thank
so
you so
much
much.
for stopping by.
Thanks, no problem.
Thank you. Okay, so the final piece, when we're going to have a working lunch, is I'm going to have Rick come up and talk a little bit about a financial plan competition which students were involved with, and he's going to give you some top secret results about some that's going to be released next week, sponsored by the CFA Institute in Pittsburgh Society.
Okay, originally we had planned on having the results by this meeting. We were going to have one of our prize winners talk to you about their experience. And so I didn't really prepare a lot, but then I saw Brad, and Brad was one of our participants, and he said he'd be willing to hang around for a couple minutes since we're a little behind schedule. He won't require a lot of time. But the Pittsburgh CFA Society put on a financial planning competition last month. So they brought it to my attention last semester in the fall. I was teaching Finance 330. In my Finance 330 course, we create personal financial plans. So the students throughout the semester, we teach life insurance, disability plans, health insurance, retirement plans, education plans, putting together a budget, estate plan. And they're putting together sections of their plan. So I thought it'd be a perfect fit. They've already created their plan. They're good to go. Their plan is 10 to 25 pages, plus any statements, the budgets, the income statements, balance sheet, all that. And it's all built on when they graduate, what you think your income's going to be, and then plan out the rest of your life. So I had several students all interested. Then I got the requirements of what they wanted, and it was plan them, what we're going to do in the next 1, 3, and 5 years, and do it in 4 pages. So a lot of students who were going to do it just never got around to switching the whole plan around. So we ended up with 10 plans from Penn State Behrend. There was 120 submitted, right? Bruce. Gene sent me an email because I keep getting emails from students when they're going to announce it. And so all he told me is that they had prizes for the first 10 places, and we had 2 in the top 10. Third and 6, 7th place. So having 10 out of 120 plans submitted, we took 2 of the first 10 places. And we're only going to get better because now I know what the rules are, right? Now I know how to. We'll just make an assignment, so we'll be good to go. But Brad, we just take a minute, talk about his experience.
Thank you. Sure. So as you said, Finance 330 is a big warm-up for this. So the project we had to do in that class, I took it last semester, so it was very helpful. It was about 10 to 25 pages, like you said, of this insurance planning, investment planning, income tax planning as well. So basically just everything a financial advisor should do for you. As I was looking into a career in the financial advisor field, I thought it was very helpful experience being in that course and taking on this project as well. For the project, as I said, you need to project out 1, 3, and 5 years from now. Income statement, balance sheet, and I did a budget as well, just to throw them off a little bit, give them a little something extra. So it was just all encompassing of everything you need to have within your financial plan going forward. Insurance planning for me, I'm not huge on insurance planning, so mine wasn't as comprehensive maybe as some others, but that's just a background where I'm from. I don't like insurance.
Okay, so we're going to reveal something now that has to stay inside this room and on the phone call. Brad's plan finished 3rd out of 120 plans that were submitted, and he's going to be receiving a check for $300 from the CFA Society of Pittsburgh for his financial plan. So there were 10 analysts that went through and reviewed all of the different programs. Brad's plan got 3 first-place votes and was ranked in the top 10 among all of the judges that were involved in the process. But we got to keep it a secret because they've been going back and forth on email, copied on all of them as president of the society. But they say that they're going to release it either today or Monday. So you're going to get some official word. So sorry for blowing it in terms of that. But we're here today. I just want you all to know that this is very, very exciting. So to give you some perspective of this, so we had 2 in the top 10. There were no other schools represented with more than 1 place in the top 10 except for Pitt. And among the top 10 were, there was a individual from Robert Morrison's in the top 10. There was one from Harrisburg College. University Park had one in the bottom end of the top 10 as well. So there were many, many schools involved in this process, but we had 2, and Brad was our top place. So congratulations. Any questions for Brad? Okay, at this point, we're going to have a working lunch. So if you'd like to go grab lunch, and then what I'm going to have is have Eric go ahead and set up now. And while you all are eating, and for those of you online, if you're in your own event, Brad, Eric is going to set up and talk to you a little bit about the World Campus teaching experience so you can get some sense of what our finance major looks like online. So please go grab lunch, and then Eric will set up, and we'll get started here, perhaps as you're assembling your lunches. So, Eric? And guys, it'll probably be about 3 or 4 minutes before we get set up, those of you who are joining us on the phone. So, go ahead and grab lunch, please.
Greg, what? I thought it was interesting that the CFA Society put on that financial planning.
Yeah.
Why did they?
Yeah, that's a great question. So why is the CFA Institute, why is the CFA Society of Pittsburgh, why are they doing a financial planning competition? So I wrote a grant to the CFA Institute for Growth Funding Partnership Program for financial literacy. The CFA Society of Pittsburgh was awarded $14,000, a 5-year renewable grant, up to $72,000 altogether. And part of it's to spread financial literacy. And one component of that was a financial planning competition. So we're working on the college levels, and this college competition is one piece of it. The other is we are working through several high school programs. So great question, and something that obviously we're well suited based on our financial planning. And Rick, again on this, our financial planning course, our intro course was, and you may have seen this as part of the other announcements. Our course was ranked 7th among all universities in the United States recently. So that is very, very exciting. We were ahead. I don't know if I can get the order right. We were ahead of Virginia, and right behind Michigan. Is that right? Or so anyway, so that was another piece of good news. Okay, so again, let me get everyone back in, and we'll go ahead and get started with lunch. So grab lunch if you will, and we're going to be going in 2 minutes.
Usually we go against that middle, or-
I'll start to go back to you. About taking contact class. They're going to take that and we're trying to do what we just did for every agency.
Well, mine should be,
Yeah.
this is our structure, here's our officer team, here's where we're going.
Perfect.
Hey, how you getting on? It's not the,
City,
go ahead.
Oh, no, okay.
It's not that we did.
I seen your presentation on that.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah, definitely should be.
Right, yeah. Yeah, that's
Did most of the other students do in terms of branding and what you guys were?
A little challenging, doesn't it?
Said that our, the price, so.
Okay.
Okay, so in your group or?
Yeah.
You know, the other thing was, there's so many different avenues.
Okay, cool. I like that.
Okay, I know, I'm gonna go ahead and have Eric start, so if you haven't gotten lunch yet, go ahead and grab lunch, but I'm gonna have Eric go ahead and start so we make sure we finish on time. So Eric is gonna talk to us a little bit about what the online teaching experience is from the perspective of our finance program. So he's pulled up his course, and he's gonna talk to you a little bit about that structure. So again, if you wanna go ahead and grab lunch, I'm gonna have Eric go ahead and start his presentation. Eric? No, because I don't have the back here, so.
Yeah.
So again, Eric's gonna start.
Okay, guys, this is what one of the online classes looks like through World Campus. This is the investments class that we've actually put together. And the idea here was that Behrend is now hosting the finance major on World Campus, which World Campus is extremely highly rated, ranked #1 in the country in terms of online degree seeking programs. So we're very excited to be hosting that here. And what I did was I started this process by taking a class online myself to become certified as an online instructor. I'm not required to do that, but I chose to do that so that I could learn more about this process. And one of the things that I learned in the process was that the normal World Campus class structure was not very helpful for what I wanted to communicate to my students. So what I did was I kind of redesigned where things were laid out and kind of restructured things. One of the things we did, simple things, was we put a support tab up at the top so the students could contact the help desk and get help whenever they needed to do that. But because it was a little different than what students were used to seeing, what I did was I created an online video tour for them, and that they access over here with the course video tour. So some of our students, like Josh, who you've already heard from with the IRC team, and you'll hear from again in a moment, he's actually taken classes here at Behrend residentially, and he's also taken my World Campus, it was the retirement planning class, right?
Yes.
The retirement planning class. So for those Behrend students that have never seen this type of thing before, there's a video tour that can kind of introduce them to this workspace and see how they can function. I'm going to show you, just for you, those of you that are curious, in terms of the course schedule. Normally in a classroom, I would be kind of helping them progress through the class. I would be giving them various lectures. Here online, everything is in completely self-paced. I give them a structure. I tell them when quizzes are due and when different assignments are due, but everything is completely self-paced week by week. I give them modules to read, lessons to read, assignments to do, but it is all up to them to make sure that it gets done by that deadline. And one thing that I do is I post weekly announcements on the homepage here, they kind of tell them, hey guys, for this week, here's what you need to be working on. And I find that the World Campus students, my online students, do tend to be very, very engaged students. They're very engaged actively in the learning process. It's not as much me talking to them about information or me having to generate interest in an assignment, but them actually taking the initiative to be involved in that process. So that's one thing that I enjoy and appreciate about the online teaching experience, how engaged the students are. I'll show you what one of the lessons looks like here. This is actually one that I just did residentially here at Behrend this week for my investments class. This is my options lesson. And just to give you an idea of how it looks when they get in there, this is an options strategy guide that was provided for our use by a friend of mine who's the director of the Options Industry Council. So students can download that quick guide using the PDF of various option strategies to help them understand their strategies, neutral market strategies, bullish market strategies, those types of things. But then I'll tell them what their learning objectives are and things they need to do, assignments that they need to complete. But as they actually move through the lesson content, you'll see there's kind of a mix of text that they're going to see. I have some options chain here, actual data that they would be using and that I would be pulling to teach them an example. I've highlighted some things in bold or red and have drawn their attention to those things. And you don't really see it right here, but on some of the lessons, I actually have blue links where I'm linking them to other articles, whether it's academic studies, websites, or things that they can use for additional research on their own. And then down here, you'll see occasionally I'll pull in sometimes a video that I've created myself where I'm kind of sketching on a whiteboard how do they do discounted cash flow. And I'll create a video and put that into the course space. Other times I'm pulling something like this one, which was from, I believe, Khan Academy, explaining a certain concept, explaining options payoffs and for the call writer. So we pull that content in, bring in images from the Options Industry Council, and give them all kinds of information. So it is a very rigorous program. Sometimes students will ask from other universities, because I do have students from other universities taking these online classes through World Campus because their institution doesn't offer the same class or in the cycle that they need. So they'll jump in and take the class. I also have students internationally. As Greg was mentioning earlier, the student from Thailand, I had her last semester. This semester, I have someone from the Cayman Islands that's in my studies. People in all different time zones and people all over the world, potentially in the classes. But one of the things that I've done to try and make it more interactive for the students is this here at the end. At the end of the assignments, I'm telling them, here are your assignments for this week. You have a discussion forum. I've set up various discussion forums that are based on each week, not each lesson. And the discussion forum, sometimes I will pose a question. Sometimes I will allow them to pose a question. I always have them interacting with articles. I want them posting a link to an article that reinforces their point and then talking about it. I don't grade them on their content, I grade them on their participation. But at the end of my assignments here, and this is my options assignment that you're seeing up in there, we have this thing called Muddiest Points. And the Muddiest Points, I think, is a fantastic way for the online students to be able to give me feedback on anything that they were unclear about in the lesson, whether it was content, whether it was something on the quiz, whether it was just something that they didn't think was elaborated on well enough, or something that was maybe confusing in its wording, or an example was maybe needed in a different spot. They'll type that in, and it populates a spreadsheet that I check every Monday morning and see where were there any confusion points from the previous week's lessons. And then I address that in an email to the students, sometimes changing lesson content, sometimes just sending a clarification. Hey, here's what this actually means. Here's another example for you to consider that concept. So I really appreciate that feedback mechanism where some of my residential students in the classroom, they're usually either coming to my office to ask questions or sending me emails directly. Here they have more of a centralized way of doing that, and I can provide feedback to everyone. If one person has the question, a lot of them probably have the question. So I can provide feedback in that way. That's really what I wanted to show you how it looks. What kind of questions do you guys have in terms of online teaching within our finance program?
Do you have like locally that when they see online classes like during your is that a growing part of the market? Not really.
I do definitely have some students that are local. Most of them are scattered around the country. Last semester, I had a lot of people from Atlanta and the New York State area. It really just completely depends. I have one student right now who can't tell me where he is. He's with the military, and he's on assignment somewhere over in an Asian country. So, he just pops in, does his stuff, and then disappears. So I have people all over the place. I have had students, some of them Behrend students that just weren't able to take the retirement planning class because it's only offered in the fall, or they're having an internship, which conflict with when it's offered residentially. So we've made a path for them to be able to take the online version of it. Josh was one of those that did exactly that.
To answer your question, it's two distinctive programs. We got a finance degree here, a finance degree online. We, on exception basis, have allowed some of our residential students into the online classes right now because we have some flexibility with that. As that online program grows, it will only be situations where somebody forgot a requirement for some reason. In order to graduate, they've got to get into a particular course. But right now, we've had some flexibility, and the instructor's been very receptive and helpful in being able to accommodate those.
Right, and I have had a couple of strictly World Campus students that were located in Erie. They just felt it was easier to do World Campus instead of come to Behrend directly. There's one gentleman who's a non-traditional student, he's in his 50s, working for someplace out in the Northeast. And he kept offering to stop by the office and say hi, but he could never materialize. But I'd like to be my World Campus alums if I can. Yeah.
Yeah, somebody on the phone had a question?
Yeah, Ron, I do have a question. You guys, I don't know what restrictions you have for World Campus, but are you familiar with Coursera and possibly using this class that you're doing right now into Coursera?
Yes, I am familiar with Coursera and the MOOC environment. We've kind of kept our own system separate from Coursera or some of the other online MOOCs that are out there. Our students come to this service. They come through World Campus if they're going to take the class, as opposed to going out there to that environment. Greg, do you have any other feedback?
Just only that, see our program, so a couple things. One, World Campus has its own platform that we use. Our courses would stay within that environment because of our AACSB accreditation. So we have to control every aspect of the courses, and to meet those requirements online, we have to meet those same rigorous requirements. So it'll stay within the World Campus system.
Okay, I was just curious. I know that I'm sure that the class is exceptional, and I've taken some really exceptional classes on all kinds of things from university to Pennsylvania, Columbia, et cetera. And I was just thinking that this would be a really awesome way to put this program specifically on the map in front of everyone. Like, of course,
Well, that's certainly something to pursue with World Campus, and within the jurisdiction of our accreditation, we can certainly explore that. So thank you for that idea.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Other comments or questions? Okay, our last working lunch presentation is going to be coming from Josh and Eric, who are both officers for our Financial Management Association. Several times this morning, you've heard about several of the activities that have taken place. Our outreach efforts have involved our Financial Management Association. And these gentlemen are obviously very competent in terms of their course success, but they're also leaders among our students in the Financial Management Association chapter. And so now they're going to talk a little bit about the structure of the FMA club. Every business advisory board member that's sitting in this room has spoken for our FMA chapter at one point or not. So we're thankful for that. I'm going to turn it over to them now to discuss our student organization.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. I'm again Josh McLear, this time speaking as president of the FMA. My vice president, Eric. Eric, can you introduce yourself?
I'm Eric. I'm from Seattle, and I'm a finance student as well.
All right, I won't bother going into my intro again. You've already heard it. Let's just get right into it. All right, so we are a chapter of FMA International. They were established in 1970, and really their main purpose is to bring financial education more into college campuses, to give a place where students can get together, learn about finance, and kind of grow as financial students. It's a really great organization. It has a lot of different chapters. I believe 200 active chapters in this country. They also have various seminars and workshops to help different students, and an honor society that I'm a member of, and you are too. Locally, we've got a really great leadership team. We have 8 fantastic officers, and we've got a great mix of all different grade levels. We have a few seniors. We've got a couple of juniors, some sophomores. We even have one highly motivated, highly dedicated freshman. I actually just learned that he was a freshman a week ago. It shocked me. I thought he was a junior.
Max is in here.
He's one of my residents. I'm a resident assistant on campus, and he came to me like the first week. He's like, "I'm really interested in finance." Blah, blah, blah. It's like, "Okay, come on over to us." So it's like,
we've got a really great team, so the club is in good hands, and it's going to continue to be in good hands. We do a lot. Once a month, we have a meeting. We give out soda and pizza, which helps bring people in. We bring speakers in. Last month, actually, we had Ron come talk to us about financial planning. And we really try to give people a great insight into what things are like in the private sector. Because while we have a great financial education here, what you get from McGraw-Hill is not always exactly the same as what you get in the private market. And it also gives those students a great way to kind of feel out what they want to do. Because finance is such a specialized field, you want to know what you want to try to get certified in, what areas of expertise you want to develop. So speaking to people that actually have done that, over and above our great faculty, is just a really good experience, I think. We also are very active in volunteerism. Do you want to go over that there?
Sure. So we're really into a lot of different, whatever we can do as a club and as an organization, as a finance department, we want to give back. And so we do things like Cardboard City, which is where like build a house out of cardboard on campus. And then we ask money to be donated, and that goes to a local charity. A couple weeks ago, we had an event through Junior Achievements where we had schools, or high school students from, I don't know, how many schools are they from? Do you remember how many schools?
It was about eight
high schools, and they're extremely intelligent students. They came to us. They were there for all day. We talked about various principles of finance, and then they actually entered into a competition through a simulation on building their own business. And so that was cool. I volunteer down there. I go every Wednesday, or we'll be going every Wednesday, into a 4th grade classroom and teach simple financial principles to them in some inner city schools that maybe aren't being taught that at home. We also do it through the School of Business, and every opportunity that they give us, we make sure we have done as well.
Yeah, volunteerism is really important to us. One of our leadership team's priorities this semester was better integrating volunteerism into the FMA, especially getting a better relationship going with Junior Achievement, because they're a great program, and we want to expand knowledge of business and finance, not just here, but throughout the community, because it's great for the students, and honestly, it's a great recruiting tool for the school. We also tend to be very active here at School of Business. For instance, the live stream on YouTube of this meeting was put together by the FMA here. We help our students find internships. We work a lot with our internship coordinator, help her get the word out about different things she's doing, to help students find what they need. We help with different presentations. Different officers and members of the FMA have helped out different faculty with things that they want to do. We also work with the LFC a bit to make sure that the best qualified finance tutors are available to students here, so that way everyone can get as much help and do as well as they possibly can. Slides. Going back one. All right, so future plans. This semester was our first semester setting up live streams. We're trying to get more involved and have other campuses involved in our activities. We have some really great speakers, really great events, and we wanted everyone to benefit from that. So starting this semester, everything we've done has been live streamed. It's all archived on YouTube, so people can go back in and see what we've done and gain the benefit if they've missed it. We've got a new website coming, which will have a lot of great information for finance majors and even people that want to come to the school to learn about the finance program here and just what the FMA does. We have an application in the works for the FMA Superior Chapter Award. Only 10% of all FMA chapters have it. We qualify for it. We've made every single requirement for it. Aaron Philbeck, the previous president, got us really well set up, and this leadership team has done a great job of driving that home. We're going to continue our involvement with Junior Achievement, and we're going to continue to work to develop our student leadership. So that's just a real brief overview of what we've been doing. Does anyone have any questions?
When do you usually?
Rarely. Rarely.
Not enough, he doesn't even flip that much.
I probably have the house.
Josh is a very popular man in the Black School of Business because of his technology knowledge and the fact that we're doing this live streaming. So people are seeking him out for assistance on how we can do more of this type of work. So we're doing cutting edge because of the fact we have online finance majors now. when we have our club presentations, this gives us a chance for the World Campus students to be able to participate as if they were here. And we have a student that moderates, and if a World Campus student asks a question or wants to ask a question to the speaker, the question can be asked on their behalf. And this is, again, I'm so thankful for his technology knowledge. I've asked you to walk me through this at some point, but it allows us to be able to bring the World Campus students and make them feel like they're part of the campus because they're one of our majors. So, any other questions?
What scholarships do the finance students have specifically designed for the finance students? Any scholarships?
What scholarships exist at Penn State for that?
Yeah.
Very few specific scholarships for finance majors. There was a benefactor that donated money. Each year we're allowed to offer one scholarship to one accounting and one finance major. And that is as far as through the Penn State system. Now, a lot of students are on scholarships through other sources and so forth. But as far as through the money that's available, we have one scholarship.
The CFA scholarships?
Well, yes, and specifically for that, yes. Well, the other scholarships that we have awarded, and that's probably a good thing, because in the Black School we do quite a bit. So we have 5 scholarships that are awarded through the CFA Institute. They have a value of about $1,300 each for candidates taking level 1 of the CFA exam. We also offer scholarships through a small fund for students who are pursuing professional designations. So this past year, we awarded a scholarship for 1 CFA candidate and 2 that were pursuing actuarial designations. But that is coming from the fact we're a university recognized program and the fact that we have money that we've been able to set aside for the Black School business. That would be an area we'd love to expand. And one of the objectives of the Student Managed Fund, once it hits $1 million, is that we have in play the ability to start being able to give back from that. Other questions? Okay, so thank you so much, guys.
Thank you everyone for your time.
Yeah. So what I'd like to do is 2 things. So we're wrapping up. What I'd like to do is if you guys have any comments, questions, or feedback, for the next 15 minutes or so, if you have it now and you'd like to give us any feedback, your ideas, suggestions, comments based on what we've done today, or things that you're observing through the program, we would love to take that. Those faculty that are here can also respond to questions that you might have. And then after you leave today, if you think of other things that would be beneficial for us, anything that you like, anything that you're curious about, we would love to have your feedback going forward. We plan to make this an annual affair. We'll try to keep it at a half day, although, I mean, if you consider these presentations, we could probably do this for a weekend. But we'll try to keep it at a half day, do it on an annual basis to keep you up to date. Now, you get our finance newsletters. We've already had 2 that have gone out this academic year. We'll have another one going out in April, and they're just chock full of information. I hope you enjoy receiving them. So at this point, I'll open up the floor. Any questions, comments, anything that you have for us, we'd be happy to take.
I'll start us off if that's okay.
Okay.
I just have a compliment really to the students that were involved with the research challenge and also the managed fund. That's incredible work. Don't stop with that kind of quality. Keep it, build on it. I deal with large financial institutions that I wish their documents looked as clean as the graphics that you had. And while there is a few in that, please say that seriously. I deal with that every single day. Continue with the great work. I'm really glad to see this year ramping up the program. I like it years ago.
Thank you. And it's Ryan. Ryan, that's you, correct?
Yeah. That's
Ryan, why don't you introduce yourself because you weren't able to join. You had to come in a little bit later. So why don't you just tell everybody who you are?
Well, I'm Ryan, 13, honors finance and also accounting. Currently working at BNY now as a trade specialist. I have the pleasure to bring some of the people in person to the SMA club, like Adam, who's sitting in there, and also have the privilege of starting up the alumni task force with Bruce, who's also on the phone here. I didn't know how long I'd be able to dedicate to this, but it's been pretty slow today, so I've been able to everything that I'm going on here too. But yeah, just a few quick congratulations to all you guys. You really should pat yourself on the back, but continue learning, you know, find habits that really build on what you guys are already doing right now. You know, there's plenty of books and everything out there that will continue your education once you get out, and I would really encourage you to keep that up. But great job, guys. Great job all the way around.
Thank you so much, Ryan. And again, Ryan was a former president of our FMA chapter, an outstanding president, and he mentioned a couple of things that he helped launch. This student chapter is very important to our curriculum. And also, Ryan, Jessica, and I have a paper that is actually under review at a journal right now based on work he did as part of his honors thesis. So we're still moving on that one, Ryan. So other questions, comments?
I'll just say something because I'm not an alumnus here. I'm you know, kind of new to it. I certainly wish I would have these kind of resources when I was back in school, which is now a very long time ago. But I'm very impressed that they can stand up in front of a group and be as comfortable as they are. These are skills that will support them well. I was many years into my career before I could stand in front of more than 2 people and not make myself sick, basically. But I think with the resources, I mean, you see it in the rankings, you see it in what you're involved in. I mean, 3rd place is very strong out of that many contributions. I mean, turning out some very high quality individuals here. And honestly, I'm very impressed.
Thank you so much.
It's really just keep doing what you're doing. But really impressed with what I saw here today.
Thank you so much. Yeah, we really do emphasize the ability for oral and written communication skills. It's part of our objectives for the Black School of Business, but we really try to put that in practice by giving them opportunities not only in class, but outside of class and through these competitions to enhance that skill set. We're going to continue working on that. I'm planning on bringing next year for the IRC team, I'm planning on bringing somebody over from the communications or theater department to work on them in addition, because, you know, part of it is show, and, you know, you got to be able to get up and articulate. So we're going to put on some shows for that. Stock pick challenge. So I'm going to get Emily Casano over here. Other questions, comments?
I have one real quick. This is Jeff Starr. It's great to see the CFA challenge still going. I was part of one of the first groups to do that, and that was really nerve-wracking, I remember a little bit. And then I don't know if it's done, I just missed it or not, but the fact that you're able to live stream the speakers that show up in the speaker series, I just realized that actually the last few was Ron. I didn't catch that. I thought it was great.
Well, thank you, Jeff. Yes, we started, this is something that as soon as we started getting our World Campus students online, this is something we want to make sure that they felt like they were a part of our club. So they have access to Penn State Behrend Finance Facebook. They receive all our publications, but this is something that became of heightened importance for us. And with our growing alumni database, we post this out for all of our alumni that want to join for the live stream broadcast, our FMA club. So for all of our FMA meetings going forward, they will be broadcast. Our speaker series will be broadcast, and it's something we're very proud of. So thank you for mentioning that.
Thank you.
Any other comments, questions?
I just want to say thank you to all the board members for participating. We really appreciate your support. Taking the time out to come do this and give us feedback, please. For Greg or me, if you have direct feedback on everything, I appreciate it. I have to go teach.
Thanks, Tim. Thank you. Anything else, guys? Okay, if not, after this event is now ending, I may follow up just to solicit some additional comments that you might have. And again, we'll keep you on the loop on things. We're going to be doing a program review this next year in finance. It's kind of just a self-assessment of how we're doing. So I will probably be bringing you guys in for any thoughts that you might have on a basic set of small questions, you know, be enormous, just to get your feedback along the way. But we really, really appreciate you guys being here today. I know it's a half day, and we really appreciate you taking the time. Those of you who joined us by phone as well. And once again, we are always open to feedback and suggestions, and we're very appreciative. And we're very excited to have you guys on here because you all represent a combination of industry leaders and alumni who we consider to be outstanding, and we're very honored to have you as a part of our group. So thank you. Thanks, guys, for joining us as well on the phone.
Anytime.
Okay.
Thank you.